An island for all. I can add attributes to everything. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176, Grey Wolf Valley, Stone Statue of Wolf God. Sube ignored the grey wolves in the forest. They dared not come over, and turned to observe the island's topography. This is a typical valley-shaped island surrounded by towering peaks, leaving only a gap to enter and exit. The interior is flat land. The area of the entire island is about 5 square kilometers, which is not too small. There are forests, plains, and some hills. Sube can even smell the fresh water in the air, indicating that there is a large lake in the valley. If it weren't for the devilish energy, this island could be called lush and lush. Yvette and the others posed at the entrance. Sube looked at Moore and said, "Let's go, just the two of us to explore." Moore slapped the armor and said confidently, "The island owner can rest assured that you will never be attacked. Now that he has been promoted to the silver level, it is the time when he is full of confidence." Sube looked at the magic pattern on Moore's back and felt resentment. 653 He didn't expect that his skin was so tough that he broke the magic pen. Concentrating his mind, Sube began to charge with the swirl shield on. But faster than him was Moore. This big guy turned into a heavy armored vehicle and started charging as soon as his head was lowered. Then he rushed into the forest unstoppably, knocking down more than a dozen trees. The surrounding grey wolves pounced and were beaten to death by a stick. 6 or 7 grey wolves died before Sube had a chance to get out. When Sube joins the fight, the situation is even more one-sided. Even without the dragon yin sword, Sube can kill every hit with just his fists and feet. He casually picked a branch from the side, wiped it with his hand, and the sharp blade of divine light was already blessed. It's just that the expiration date of the branches has also entered the countdown. With a flick of his wrist, Gale slashed throughout, cutting down the tree and taking away the grey wolf behind the tree. Woo. After more than 40 grey wolves were killed or injured, the remaining grey wolves fled with a whimper. Sube recalled the wolf howling just now and said, "There is a wolf king in the valley." Moore came with a big iron rod. "The island owner is right. I also feel that there is a strong enemy in the valley." Sube felt it too. There is a silver wolf king in the valley. It was the howl that made the grey wolf retreat just now. After changing a branch at will, Sube arranged tasks for Yvette and others, and moved on with more. The valley terrain of this island allows the grey wolves to live in peace, but it has also become their cage, unable to run even if they want to. Through the small forest and over the lawn, Sube and Moore stood at the mouth of the valley. The valley is very quiet, but you can smell wolves in the air. They lay in ambush in the shadows, ready to pounce and bite Sube and Moore's throats. Sube saw a stone statue deep in the valley, a majestic giant wolf. This thing is definitely not made by grey wolves. They have not evolved to this level. Sube looked at Moore and asked, "Can you judge the origin?" "Aboriginal things must be asked of the Aborigines." Moore observed the giant wolf statue for a moment, and said somewhat uncertainly, "I remember a long time ago, some grassland tribes believed in the wolf god, but after the original battle of gods, there was no news of the wolf god. This stone statue, they should have built it to worship the wolf god." Sube nodded and said, "In this way, we have discovered the habitation of those tribes, but they have disappeared over the years, and only these grey wolves are left." Sube stretched his muscles and gave an order, "As dust returns to dust, let these grey wolves be buried with the past." Kill. Moore didn't have so many ideas, and he did what Sube said anyway. Immediately, he let out a roar and rushed forward with a big iron stick. Since the grey wolves are hiding and not appearing, then force them to appear. After smashing the giant wolf statue, it was impossible for these grey wolves not to show up. Moore's actions made the Wolf King extremely angry, and he howled. Immediately, dozens of grey wolves emerged from the corners and rushed towards Moore from different directions. Then the stumps flew around, screaming all over the place. The Tauren itself is an Aborigines proficient in combat, and more has been promoted to the silver level. These bronze level gray wolves are not opponents at all, and they will die as much as they go up. But they went on, as if there was no fear. Moore's blood boiled, and he threw the iron armor directly. Although this thing can provide high defense, but it also restricts his actions. Without the shackles of the iron armor, Moore threw the big iron rod into the wind, and he was able to blow up several gray wolves in one breath. Subei nodded secretly. Torin really brave. It seems that only the Wolf King needs a shot. Mainly, Subei glanced at it, and he couldn't find any branches around, so he could only fight for one knife to kill the Wolf King and end the battle. Seeing that Subei didn't shoot, Moore became more and more excited. The island owner is recognizing his strength, and he must make persistent efforts to live up to the expectations of the island owner. Roar tilde. Roar tilde exclamation mark. Moore is getting better and better. His entry is, Julie, a very simple and direct entry, that is, great strength. The big iron rod in his hand was also newly built. Smelted from scraps from casting energy cannons. Nothing else, just hard and heavy. But in Moore's hands, it is more suitable. Moore was also quite satisfied with his own changes, and admired Subei so much. The means of the island owner is truly a miracle. Under Moore's unremitting efforts, mountains of meat piled up around him. The gray wolf pounced and was smashed to pieces. Jump over again, and be smashed again. Trapped in an infinite cycle of death. Finally, the Wolf King couldn't hold back any longer and appeared from the shadows. Moore shouted very wisely, "Islander, I'm not the opponent of the Wolf King, it's up to you." Subei nodded with satisfaction, and stepped forward to fight with the branches in hand. Who said that Torin are all elm lumps? Isn't this very clever? While thinking about it, the silver intermediate Wolf King rushed forward, like gray lightning, drawing several phantoms on the grass. Then it was split in half by a branch of Subei. Click. The branches shattered on the spot. It fell into the dust with the Wolf King's corpse. Woo. The remaining gray wolves immediately became confused and ran around, trying to escape from the valley. But he ran into Yvette and the turtle team head-on and was killed on the spot. Subei looked at the time, and it took less than 2.5 minutes for a moment, which was very efficient. Yvette came over and said, "Island owner, all the gray wolves have been killed." Subei nodded, and immediately sent an order to the spirit of the island, asking her to send the earth spirit over to recover it. Then turned to look at the wolf-shaped stone statue. This thing is quite handsome. Bring it back and put it on the island. It can also be used as a decoration. Yvette observed for a moment, pointed to the stone statue's eyes and said, "Islander, those should be 2 rare gems. 99 According to my clan's books, all wolf god statues need to be decorated with gems. Because, in the legends of the grassland tribes, the wolf god has a pair of eyes that see through all falsehoods." Hearing this, Subei narrowed his eyes to observe carefully. He really found the clue. In the long years, the surface of the stone statue is covered with dust, like a shell. But through the gap, a little brilliance can still be seen. That's the peculiar brilliance of gems. Advertisement Chapter 177 Giant Yang Yen Stone. After discovering that the eyes of the wolf god statue were made of precious stones, Subei decisively walked towards the statue with Moore, Yvette and others. Before leaving, I did not forget to call Log and Jewel Cat over to search for ores and treasures. The order to the earth spirit is to recover special plants first, and then transport the soil. Ordinary plants are completely unnecessary to recycle. It is better to plant some corn and potatoes in the open space to deal with the food crisis of Blue Star. It is true that with the power of Subei, even if the entire island is planted with food, it cannot fill the gap. However, maintaining the stability of the West City should not be a problem. The stability of the Blue Star's rear is also crucial. While thinking, Subei came to the bottom of the stone statue. If you look closely, you can see that the craftsmen who built the stone statues are very skilled. The entire stone statue is completely lifelike. Subei looked up and down, then reached out and patted the surface of the stone statue twice. Dong dong dong. The dull sound feedback made Subei smile. It was not what he expected. This is not a stone statue, but made of metal. However, because the surface is covered by wind and sand, It looks like it was carved out of stone. Now, Sube slapped down and immediately shattered the 17-sided stone shell, revealing the metal statue underneath. Taking a closer look, Sube's expression almost froze. Meteorite iron. The entire statue is cast from meteorite iron. Hiss. Yvette was also a little shocked. She only knew that the eyes of the wolf god statue were very precious and were rare gems. But I never imagined that the greatest value of the entire statue actually came from the statue itself. Yvette felt a little ashamed. If it wasn't for the piercing eyes of the island owner, who slapped the stone shell on the surface with 2 slaps, they would have missed it. Sube waved his hand, indicating that he didn't care. After thinking for a while, Sube asked, "I don't see anything special about this wolf god statue. Are there any relevant records in your classics?" 95. The steppe tribe took so much trouble to cast the statue of the wolf god. Is it just for sacrifice? It should be more than that. There may be other uses. Yvette thought for a moment and shook her head. No, there are only records about the statue's eyes. Moore scratched the back of his head and said embarrassedly, "Island owner, I don't even know. My family's records of history rely more on word of mouth from each generation of chiefs and high priests. I'm just a farmer, no access to this information." Sube was startled, looked Moore up and down, and asked, "You call me a farmer with your physique and fighting ability?" Moore nodded and replied with great certainty, "Yes." Yvette explained from the side, "The island owner, the Tauran is also a strong aboriginal tribe, and the general characteristic of the strong tribe is to speak with strength. Usually, the black iron and bronze rank clansmen are all working in production, and only when they reach the silver rank can they become combatants. For example, my family, I, Nyan Doreen, we are silver rank and members of the patrol team. 99. While Eleanor is only senior in bronze, she was mainly responsible for taking care of fish and seaweed corals. Sube's mouth twitched. Eleanor, a bronze senior, was still the ace player on the island a few days ago. As a result, when it came to Yvette's mouth, it became only bronze advanced. As expected of a strong family, speaking is tough. When Sube thought about it, he was surprised to find that he was a farmer when he went to a mermaid or Tauran territory at this level. Thinking of this, Sube decisively changed the subject and said, "I didn't find anything special about this statue. I'm going to transport it back to remelting. What do you think?" Yvette said immediately, "It's all up to the island owner's orders." 55. Moore didn't speak, but he also assumed an attitude of following Sube's lead. Sube nodded and called Star Iron Tiger over. When it comes to mining and decomposing meteorite iron, it has the most say. As soon as Xingtiu came over, he immediately expressed the idea of eating. It feels like an upgrade and needs to eat more. However, the meteorite iron on the island was watched closely by Augur and the others, and the Star Iron Tiger did not find a chance to steal it. Sube patted Xingtiu's head and pointed to the statue, meaning to let go and eat. Xing Iron Tiger was very happy, and when he went up, Bang Bang took a picture of a large piece of meteorite iron with his claws, and then swallowed it in a few mouthfuls. After eating hundreds of kilograms of meteorite iron, Star Iron Tiger was also successfully promoted to the silver intermediate level. After eating and drinking enough, Star Iron Tiger started to work, and the after images of his claws were thrown. Under its unremitting efforts, the statue began to shake and eventually collapsed. The 2 gems in the wolf's head's eye socket also loosened and fell. Sube wiped the dust off the surface and smiled brightly. 2 Yang Yan stones are used as the eyes of the statue. And the size is not small, it is several circles larger than the 4 he found before. Using this thing to cast Yang Yan cannon, the power must be strong. With one shot down, the silver level enemy will ascend to the sky in situ. At this time, Augur and the Gem Cat reported that they had no additional harvest. This island is very ordinary and not very valuable. However, when Augur saw the 2 Yang Yan stones in Sube's hands, his eyes widened and his saliva gushed all over the floor. "Island Master, even if such a large Yang Yan stone is divided into 2, It is enough to cast a qualified Yang Yan cannon. Tiger wiped his saliva and looked at Yang Yan Chai as if he was looking at his lover. Su Bei casually threw the Yang Yan stone to Augur and said, "You don't need to disassemble it, just cast it like this. I hope to see 2 Yang Yan cannons with extraordinary power as soon as possible." Augur hurriedly caught it, and replied with a determined look, "Island Lord, rest assured, if we can't complete the task, we don't deserve to call ourselves dwarves." After he finished speaking, he rushed to the teleportation channel with the Yang Yan stone in his arms, and went to discuss with Norden and the others. With these 2 Yang Yan stones, if they don't create a more powerful energy cannon, they will definitely regret it for the rest of their lives. 657 Apart from the enormous value of the statue, there is not much value in the whole island. When the transmission channel time ends, Du Ling reports the relevant situation. The harvest was average, only some bronze and black iron plants were recovered. Then there are thousands of tons of soil. But there is also good news, 50 more magic energy crystals have been recovered. Now everyone else on the island is drawing or gathering magic patterns, but Su Bei lacks the means to quickly level up. It's just the right time for these demonic energy to crystallize. It was absorbed all in one breath, and it was only one step away from the silver level. Even if there is no additional energy replenishment, the promotion will be completed in the last few days. At that time, gaining the ability to add a second entry will take Su Bei's strength to the next level. Su Bei wanted to know what his second entry would be. Su Bei made up his mind. If I don't write mythical entries, I will not be fixed. After exploring the Wolf Valley Island, the time also came to the evening. Whether it will continue the previous glory and come up with a mythical entry. The Lin family sisters asked the spirit of the island to convey it on their behalf. If there is no dream in life, what is the difference between it and salted fish? I have to say, the effect is excellent. Su Bei is naturally bound to. They are trying to integrate medicated food with magic patterns and potions, and they have achieved little success. They hope that Su Bei will give some pointers in the past. Advertisement Chapter 178, The Pursued Merman Lulu. Early the next morning, Su Bei left the villa leaning against the wall. The sisters of the Lin family followed Helena to study potions, and they also had magic patterns drawn by Eve, and the speed of progress was extremely fast. Even Su Bei couldn't resist. Zhuan Menaiu hurried over to help and asked, "Island Master, are you going back to Blue Star today?" Su Bei straightened his back immediately. "No problem, just pack up and go." At the same time, I thought about the people I would bring back today. First of all, the casting of the new Yang Yan cannon is completed, and new gunners need to be recruited for training in time. The second is the increase of candidates for abilities. Dark Blood Fruit and Dark Blood Potion have leftovers, and they must be used. While thinking about it, Su Bei and Zhuan Menaiu teleported to the Blue Star Company, selected 4 candidates for gunners and 4 abilities, and returned to the island again. Just in time for Augur and the others to complete the casting of the Yang Yan cannon. This Yang Yan cannon was planned before, and was not suitable for the giant Yang Yan stone obtained yesterday. Hard mounted, easy to blow up. Energy cannons are also at risk of bursting. If the energy accumulated in the barrel exceeds the load limit, it will explode, and the consequences will be devastating. The casting of the energy cannon needs to be tailored according to the core energy stone. The casting of the gun barrels of the 2 giant Yanyan stones needs to be strictly verified. They would rather give up flexibility and build more materials, but also ensure safety. After all, if that thing exploded, the entire energy cannon position would be over. Su Bei gathered his thoughts and refreshed it at will. The highest grade entry was the blue excellent entry, which was okay. Continuous combustion, excellent level, prolong the flame burning time. In addition to the direct explosion, the lethality of the Yang Yan cannon is high temperature and burning. Extending the burning time has obvious effect in the face of those stubborn enemies. Fixed directly. Afterwards, Su Bei looked at Moore and asked him to carry the Yang Yan cannon to the position to complete the installation. With this door and around, this kind of trivial matter naturally doesn't need Su Bei to do it himself. Everyone moved to the energy cannon position. The 4 gunners have already completed their awakening, Using thick soil fruit. Their Earth-type abilities will strengthen the defense of the position. The other 4 candidates for ability users also used the dark blood fruit to complete the awakening, and took the dark blood potion, and are speeding up the ability training. As for the drawing of the Ori gathering magic pattern, you need to wait. Even with the blessing of the hand of God, Eve can draw at most 2 sets of aura gathering magic patterns every day. The drawing of the magic pattern is very exhausting. Fortunately, with the continuous improvement of Eve's proficiency, it can be increased to 3 sets or even 4 sets in the follow-up. While thinking about it, Su-Bei saw a black spot approaching on the sea in the distance. Picking up the binoculars, it turned out to be Lulu the shark. It has been 4 days since he left, and counting the time, it is indeed enough for him to go back and forth. But Su-Bei's expression was a little dignified. Because behind Lulu the shark, the eyes of the sea are a little deep, and a large black shadow is chasing. Su-Bei immediately issued an order: aim at the dark shadow in the distance and output the rhythm. Follow your orders. The gunners moved immediately. Soon, the first nether energy cannon roared and opened fire, blasting hundreds of meters behind Lulu the merman. With the explosion, the broken corpse flew high and quickly fell back to the ocean. The merman Lulu was taken aback and realized that Su-Bei was helping him. His tired body surged with infinite power and charged straight towards the island. Boom! The second nether energy cannon blew up dozens of chasing soldiers again. As the distance approached, Su-Bei could also see the appearance of the pursuers. The whole is a sea fish, but it has hands and feet, the scales are darker in color, and the face is hideous. Su-Bei immediately identified the other party. It's the dark-tide murloc. The mortal enemy of the mermaid family. They appear here, or they are chasing Lulu the shark. Could it be that there is something wrong with the mermaid? Su-Bei's expression immediately became serious, and he called Yvette and the others over. After Yvette saw the scene in the distance, she was also a little anxious, and wanted to fly back to the mermaid territory immediately to see what happened. Su-Bei patted her on the shoulder and said, "Don't worry, we'll ask again when Lulu arrives. If there's something wrong, then speed up the sailing." 5. Yvette was very moved and nodded obediently. She knew that even if she rushed back with all her strength, it would take a day to reach the mermaid territory. For such a long time, it is impossible to catch up. Taking a step back, if there is really a problem with the mermaid, it will not help at all if she is alone. Watching for a moment from above, Su-Bei gave new orders. The turtle team left the artificial lake and established a defensive line on the beach to intercept. There are too many dark-tide murlocs attacking, and energy cannons alone cannot clear them all. And after being shot twice, the remaining dark-tide murlocs dived one after another, making it very difficult to kill. The energy cannon cannot reach the depths of the water. Ready to fight. Su-Bei gave an order, and everyone took action. Islander, do you need me to help? Although Helena was preparing the potion, her voice was conveyed to Su-Bei's ears by the spirit of the island. Su-Bei replied, "No, with this level of fighting, I can handle it." Helena smiled lightly and didn't say much. Su-Bei brought Yvette and the others to the beach, and Moore was already waiting with a big iron rod on his back. In fact, such a battle is unnecessary. Because although the number of dark-tide murlocs is large, the level is not high. It is a mixed army of bronze level and black iron level. The cannon fodder. Otherwise, even a bronze-ranked merman, Lulu, would not be able to catch up. While thinking, Lulu jumped up from the sea, plowed a shallow ditch on the beach, and said weakly, "Your Excellency Su-Bei, thank you for your rescue." Su-Bei waved his hand and asked Tulane to carry Lulu to the artificial lake to recuperate. Now is not the time to chat. The dark-tide murlocs have begun to land. As expected of the Dark Clan known for their fecundity, the number has already exceeded 1,000. Su-Bei seriously suspected that these dark-tide murlocs came to him, and Lulu the merman just followed him to kill. Otherwise, there is no need to go to such trouble. It is obviously unreasonable for thousands of dark-tide murlocs to hunt down a mermaid. The roar of the dark-tide murlocs also confirmed this point of view. Oh, it's the smell of humans. Kill all and grab all, this island is ours. Mermaids, Eat them. 99 It's great to be able to eat beef. The Torin Moor let out a low roar and rushed up with a big iron rod. Still craving beef. He also wants to eat grilled fish. At the same time as Moor charged, the turtle team began to attack, and the heavy water impact broke the formation of the dark-tide murlocs. Subsequently, the water cannon tortoise fired in 2 rounds, shattering dozens of dark-tide murlocs. The moment the battle started, it evolved to a white-hot stage. It also turned into a one-sided situation. Advertisement Chapter 179, Dark-Tide Murloc Rebellion. There are many dark-tide murlocs, but only in large numbers. Torin Moor made a stop on the beach, not taking a step back at all. The iron rod swept out, and the dark-tide murlocs were blasted with their scales and bones. Behind him, there are 2 Torin, Weichuo and Barrett, who performed very well. Eleanor controlled the turtle team to form a semicircle and surrounded the landing point. The heavy water impact continued one after another, and each time they achieved good results. The formation of the dark-tide murlocs is too dense, so you don't need to aim, just throw skills at will. It is also a sea turtle, and the silver-level water cannon turtle is obviously much more powerful. Each time the 2 horny gun barrels attack, they can easily take away 7 or 8 dark-tide murlocs. If you are lucky, you can even take a dozen of them. It's a pity that Yvette has not yet found the second water cannon turtle. Otherwise, if you come to a team, you will definitely let the dark-tide murlocs know what cruelty is. Sube looked around on the beach and found that he didn't have a chance to shoot this time. Thousands of dark-tide murlocs did not cause any additional pressure. There are also some witty dark-tide murlocs who find that this is not going to work, and want to log in from the side. As soon as he appeared, he was sent back to his hometown by the Mist Banshee, who had been waiting for a long time. The mist shrouded on the island is the best transport channel for the Misty Banshee. They can move from the side of the island to the opposite side in an instant. Under such a violent blow, the dark-tide murlocs collapsed. They no longer had the lofty ambitions they had when they were logged in, and they had no courage left to be killed. The dark-tide murloc who escaped from the beach received 3 energy cannons before he could breathe a sigh of relief, causing heavy damage again. The remaining dark-tide murlocs dived decisively and escaped. The turtle team went into the water to chase and kill, while the others rested and cleaned the battlefield at the same time. With so many dark-tide murlocs, at least he can dig out dozens of magic crystals, enough for Sube to complete his promotion. At this time, the spirit of the island reported, "Master, that merman woke up and has something to tell you." Sube nodded and took Yvette and a few mermaids to the artificial lake. The shark Lulu was lying by the lake, and his state recovered a lot. After seeing Sube, Lulu said eagerly, "Your Excellency Sube, please be prepared. The number of dark-tide murlocs has increased sharply. They are raging in the ocean current area, and 2 merman tribes have been destroyed." "The news is pretty cool." Sube hurriedly asked, "Lord Lulu, what about your tribe, are you alright?" The mermaid Lulu was moved to tears. "What a noble human being, still thinking of them at this time." Lulu choked back and replied, "Your Excellency Yulao is worried that my clan is fine and has already moved away in advance. Although the homeland has been destroyed, the clan is still there and can always tide over the difficulties." 39 Sube immediately sensed an opportunity. Although the mermen are not as good as the mermaids, they also surpass the average level of the aborigines. It would be a beautiful thing to be able to bring Lulu's entire clan under his command. Thinking of this, Sube said decisively, "The ocean current area is not safe right now. It is better to let your clansmen live on my island temporarily, and then rebuild their homes after the crisis is over." 5 Of course, when the time comes, these mermen still want to go back to the sea. That's another matter. The merman Lulu hesitated and said, "This is not good. There are more than 30 mermen in my tribe. Wouldn't it cause a great burden to your Excellency?" Sube waved his hand and said proudly, "It's nothing. It's just that you may have to be wronged at that time, and you should live in this artificial lake temporarily." The merman Lulu suddenly panicked. "This can't be done. This is the place of Lord Yvette and the others. We can just move around the island." 39 Sube pondered for a moment and said, "So, I will build another artificial lake on the island. How about you not disturb each other? Sube also knew that the Aboriginal people were very hierarchical, and it was difficult to change their ideas. Fortunately, there is still space on the island. The soil that was transported back yesterday has been integrated into the island, and part of the area has been expanded, just to be used to repair, BHCF, the second artificial lake. Anyway, it will not be a loss. Raising fish, shrimp, shells, and various algae and corals can also bring benefits. These sharks are the best breeding experts. The merman Lulu said, "Thank you for your kindness. I will go back and inform the clan after a while." Sube nodded and got back to business. "Lulu, what happened to the dark-tide Merlix this time? You came back from the mermaid. What's the situation there?" 5. Speaking of this, Yvette's ears perked up. Lulu's expression flashed a trace of fear, and he calmed down before saying, "I returned from the mermaid, and the whole place is relatively stable, but I should have also received news from the dark-tide Merlix and is on alert. After I reported the affairs of Your Excellency Yvette and the others, I went back along the ocean current, planning to return to the tribe first, and then come here to report. But halfway through, I was discovered by the undertide Merlix. 35 They had just broken through a tribe of merpeople, and they came after me immediately. 35 When I was escaping all the way, I met several other mercenaries who were fleeing. They were from another tribe, they had been attacked, and only a few of them survived. After that, we fled all the way and were surrounded by several waves of Merlix, and in the end I was the only one who escaped. 99 After notifying my clan, I am ready to come to report." Merman Lulu's expression became ashamed. "Your Excellency Sube, I thought I had gotten rid of the undertide Merlix, but I didn't expect them to keep sneaking in the depths. Bringing the undertide Merlix here is really a sin." 39 Sube waved his hand and said, "Your Excellency Lulu, don't blame yourself. Even if you don't come, they will eventually come over. At that time, it may cause even greater losses. This is the truth. The number of dark-tide Merlix has exploded, and they must be rampant and slaughtered everywhere." Sube couldn't stay out of it either. To sum up, the news brought by Lulu the shark is very urgent. But not yet at the most dangerous level. The dark-tide fish talent has just started to act. At least they have not attacked the mermaid family. Sube will definitely not miss this fight. A large number of dark-tide Merlix mean a large number of magic energy crystals. This is what Sube values most. In addition, the mermaid family can't have an accident yet. Without them guarding the sea area, the number of dark races in the deep sea would increase. It will eventually put a lot of pressure on Sube. He didn't want to face the endless dark race. And Sube has another plan. The undertide Merlix are in trouble in the sea, which will surely cause the displacement of many aquatic aborigines. If you can receive all of your subordinates, you will benefit greatly. The merman Lulu went back to call the clan, while Sube called all the members of the island to start the battle meeting. There's going to be a lot of hard work ahead, and you need to plan properly. Advertisement Chapter 180 Pre-War Planning. After explaining the situation, Sube looked at everyone. Everyone can say what they think, just say whatever. Helena thought for a moment and said, "We need to determine the size of the dark-tide Merlix and their attack direction." Then, Helena added, "Secondly, it is necessary to clarify whether this matter involves the gods. God?" Sube said in surprise, "But in the original battle of gods, countless gods have fallen, and the rest have not responded." Helena said meaningfully, "I haven't responded before, it doesn't mean I haven't responded." 99 This sentence wakes up Sube. Indeed, this possibility must be taken into account. That is a god, with many means unimaginable for mortals. Even if they fall, they may be resurrected under certain circumstances. Prepare for the worst in everything, and you can do it with ease. Sube said solemnly, "If this is the case, then it will be troublesome. This time the dark-tide Merlix are probably just the beginning, and there will be more dark riots in the future." Eve said, "Island owner, this incident is also an opportunity. After the battle, the strength of the island will be greatly improved." Sube nodded, Yes, that's why I want to join the war. After all, our island can move, and it's not difficult to get out of the range of the dark-tide Murlocs. But, if you can hide for a while, you can't hide for a lifetime. Escape doesn't solve problems, only fights. Su Bei set the tone for participating in the war, and the next step is to prepare for the work, and everyone expresses their opinions. Augur said, Islander, I suggest that you recruit some more dwarves. If the remaining energy cannons can work at the same time, it will relieve a lot of pressure. This is a good idea. There are still 2 secluded stones in the forge, 3 Yang stones and 2 giant Yang stones. Slowly casting the energy cannon, it is definitely too late. However, the recruitment of dwarves is difficult. Norton stood up, Islander, use the method you used to recruit us, and then contact our tribe and return with a few messages. It is estimated that there will be a response soon. Su Bei nodded, then you prepare a note, and I'll be in charge of liaison. And Norton sat down and began to think about how to abduct the tribe. Yvette said, Island owner, we are not afraid of landing battles and shelling battles. The weak point of island defense is underwater. The others nodded in agreement. Indeed, the fighters on the island are now quite complete. From the gold level to the black iron level, they're all corresponding. But there is a problem here. Only Yvette and the turtle squad were able to enter the water to fight. The rest, even Su Bei, will be severely limited in launching combat. As for Augur, they won't talk about it. They are all landlubbers. Undertide Murlocs are standard amphibious creatures, and prefer to fight under the sea. If they don't log in and instead attack the underwater part of the island, it's pretty tricky. No amount of tenacity seaweed can hold up. But even if the problem is known, it is not so easy to solve it. Yvette and Eleanor have already tried their best to find and tame sea turtles, and they have achieved certain results, but it is far from enough to stop thousands of dark-tide Murlocs. Helena said excitedly, how about I configure some poison and poison all the dark-tide Murlocs to death? Su Bei waved his hand quickly, don't. As a dark race, the dark-tide Murlocs have strong resistance to toxins. If they want to poison them all, I am afraid that the sea area with a radius of hundreds of miles will also die. Helena looked regretful and began to think of a new plan. Su Bei suddenly thought of a plan, looked at Helena, and asked, is there such a potion that can breathe underwater? Helena is a little unclear, but she still replied, yes, it is not difficult to prepare. Just have black mouthfish oil and thorn seaweed. A bottle can last for half an hour. 35 Su Bei communicated with the spirit of the island and asked her to construct a 3-dimensional model of the island. Pointing to the underwater part, he said, I am going to arrange a deep well around the island that leads directly to the water, and open a small window as a shooting port. Submarine combat, attack with harpoon launchers. 5 With the rock cover, the safety is guaranteed. Set up more deep wells and more shooting openings, so that you can cover each other and attack enemies in different directions. Juan Menai looked at it and said suddenly, I understand. The island owner wants to build an underwater bastion, which is very feasible. 95 After thinking for a moment, Juan Menai added, Islander, we can open up a honeycomb channel underwater to connect various deep wells to facilitate the mobilization of fighters, and there is no need to return to the ground to move again, which can save a lot of time. Su Bei's eyes lit up. This proposal is quite good. Su Bei continued, in addition, I plan to deploy more mines. As long as the dark-tide Murlocs are driven to the shore, then the victory will definitely be ours. Everyone agreed. That's right, as long as the dark-tide Murlocs dare to surface, they will know what cruelty is. To be honest, whenever the dark race, especially the dark race in the water riots, it will give the human island owner a special headache. It's good to say that they landed. Anyway, it's hard to fight to see who dies first. What I am most afraid of is not going ashore, and doing sneak attacks under the water. That makes the scalp tingle. On the other hand, the aborigines of the island world have no such concerns. For flowers either live in the water and fight at home. Either live on a super island and only encounter enemies on the ground and in the air. The human island owner is very comprehensive. Those who swim in water, those who run on the ground, those who fly in the sky, have enemies in the three directions of sea, land and air. The key is that Blue Star's depth charges cannot be used in the island world, and can only be redesigned and manufactured by relying on the materials here. Yield is very volatile. But there is no way. If you want to fight against the Dark-Tide Murlocs, these materials are essential. The only way to get help is from the special team. After discussing for a while, Sube announced the dissolution of the meeting, and everyone dispersed. Og and Norton also handed over the notes they had prepared, still in their tribal language. Sube opened the friend list to find Shen Qingling, and first passed the photo of the note. Help me contact the dwarf tribe and pass this on. Shen Qingling, okay. Sube immediately sent the list of equipment that Zhuan Menaiu had sorted out. The sooner the equipment, the better. Shen Qingling, are you preparing to fight underwater? Why do you feel that you are either fighting or on the way to fight? Shen Qingling, give me 3 hours to raise time. Sube, yes. It just so happens that I also need to prepare. Just after chatting with Shen Qingling, Eleanor came to report the situation, and the merman Lulu returned with his clan. Hearing this, Sube immediately went to the beach. These mermaids will also become an important combat force. They don't need to fight hard either, just use the harpoon launcher to attack in the underwater bastion. Soon, Sube saw Lulu, the shark, and other sharks. 35 in total, all with a slightly panicked expression. The riot of the Dark-Tide Murlocs made them extremely frightened. But after seeing the island, the merman calmed down a lot. The size of the island exceeded their expectations. Perhaps it can really resist the attack of the Dark-Tide Murlocs. When these mermen saw Yvette, they immediately threw their panic outside the Jiuxiao territory, not to mention how excited their expressions were. It's Yvette-sama. Really, great, we are saved. Those Dark-Tide Murlocs will definitely be driven away by Lord Yvette. Sube didn't expect that Yvette was so prestigious in the merman tribe. He estimated that as long as Yvette spoke up, even if these mermen were to fight the Dark-Tide Murlocs now, they would not frown. This is also a surprise. With Yvette around, Sube can better control these mercenaries. Advertisement Chapter 181 Promoted to the Silver Level. New mythical entry. Following the ground ditch, the merman tribe came to the newly open artificial lake. It's a little crowded, but the Earth Spirit has already seized the time to expand, and if it wants to come tomorrow, it will be able to take shape. 35 mermen gathered by the lake. From here you can see the difference in the status of these sharks. One of them was a merman with a slightly old face, named Luda, surrounded by mermen, obviously a role like a patriarch. The merman Lulu was beside him with a respectful attitude. However, if you look closely, you can see that the faces of the two have a certain degree of similarity. Sube thought for a while and asked, could it be that Your Excellency and Lulu have a father-son relationship? The shark Lud nodded. Your Excellency, Sube guessed right, Lulu is my son. Immediately, Luda had a solemn face and bowed to Sube. Thank you for your kindness, our Reich tribe will never forget it. The merman behind Luda also saluted 667. However, they did not expect that the first person to lend a helping hand to them was the human island owner. Sube stretched out his hand to help him, and said with a serious face, Lulu the merman is my friend, so his clansmen are naturally my friends too. These 3 sentences made Lulu the shark so moved that he regarded Sube as a close friend of his soul. Trud also smiled. The atmosphere was very harmonious. After a brief and quick exchange, Rude immediately said that they would also participate in the next battle against the Dark-Tide Murlocs. The underwater bastion proposed by Sube gave them the hope of revenge. Facing the countless Dark-Tide Murlocs underwater, they were a little powerless. But with the defense of the bastion, attacking with a harpoon launcher couldn't be easier. You can win with your eyes closed. Lulu even said that he would prepare 2 launchers for him, and he would dual-wield them. With the addition of these 35 mermen, the underwater defense power will be greatly improved. Sube didn't expect to be able to kill all the Dark-Tide Murlocs underwater. As long as the large army can choose to land in combat, the battle will be much easier. Let the rock soldiers bring in food and medicine, and Sube let the sharks hurry up and rest. and the battle in the future will be very difficult. The sharks know this too. They came to Subei's island and couldn't completely escape the battle. But it is undoubtedly much better than running around under the sea. There are too many dark-tide merlix on the bottom of the sea, and there is nowhere to hide. After a few words, Subei left the lake. The dark-tide merlix that had attacked earlier have been processed, and the magic crystals have been collected, with a total of more than 100 pieces, exceeding Subei's expectations. These magic energy crystals will allow him to break through the current level and be promoted to the silver level. To complete the promotion before the war is undoubtedly good news. This battle was not even as dangerous as the previous storm events. The monster that invaded at that time retreated after the storm stopped. But this time is different. The undertide murloc offensive will continue for a long time. While thinking, Subei came to the alchemy room. This is also the request of Helena, who wants to record the data of Subei's promotion. In this regard, Subei did not object. Helena is preparing the dark potion, which is almost complete. Aware of Subei's arrival, he asked excitedly, "Ready for promotion?" Subei nodded. The number of magic energy crystals has reached the standard. Speaking of this, Helena asked with some puzzlement, "Why can you absorb the crystals of demonic energy without hindrance? Even a demon-slaughtering warrior can't do this." Subei said casually, "Maybe my physique is special." 39 Subei had been able to absorb demonic crystals at will, long before he changed his job as a demon slayer. He speculated that it was because of the entry, killing God. The biggest problem with the magic energy crystal is the erosion of the spirit by the magic energy. And this problem, in the face of the entry of killing gods, is not to worry about. The erosion of demonic energy in the mere area cannot shake the intention of killing the god at all. But this reason can't be said. Subei can only make excuses for his special constitution. Helena had guessed before and came to a similar conclusion, so she didn't ask any more questions. Moments later, the potion in the cauldron turned from black to lavender. Avina, who had been waiting for the preparation, immediately brought the flower fairy over to pack it. Helena and Subei came to the open space outside. Subei held the magic energy crystal in his hand and began to absorb it. Helena was attentive and didn't miss any details. She is professional when it comes to dealing with data. These magic energy crystals in Subei's hands are not of high grade, and the energy contained in a single one is not much, and absorption is a matter of blinking an eye. Take out the magic energy crystal from the box, absorb it, take it again, and absorb it again. The speed keeps increasing. The energy accumulation in Subei's body is also rising steadily, resonating with the surrounding aura, attracting the aura to gather. In this way, Subei's upgrade progress is a little faster. Subei couldn't help but think of the magic pattern of aura that could not be drawn. After this promotion, his basic attributes will be greatly improved. Will you be able to draw magic patterns at that time? Even if you really find a master-level dwarf craftsman, it seems that you have to make a question mark. Subei quickly eliminated distracting thoughts. He felt the level boundaries. As long as he breaks through the boundaries, he can officially be promoted to the silver level. The level boundary is very firm, but under the impact of the violent energy, signs of fragmentation soon appeared. This process was supposed to be painful. However, when Subei drank the upgrade secret medicine before, he had already experienced 100 times more intense pain, but at this time it was unusually relaxed. I even feel comfortable. Sure enough, what doesn't defeat me will make me stronger. Subei secretly said. Immediately mobilized the energy in the body, and hit the level limit in one go. Boom. There seemed to be a crisp shattering sound in his ears, and Subei could clearly feel that the world in front of him seemed to be a little different. The unrivaled power that swept through the whole body made Subei confirm he was successfully promoted to the silver level. Ding! The level of the host increases, and the number of daily entries is increased by 1. Ding! The host has been promoted to the silver level, and the second entry fixed ability has been opened. 2 prompts in a row made Subei smile. When the dark-tide merlix were rioting, it was really reassuring to receive such a prompt. 2.5. After a while, the turbulent aura gradually subsided. Subei stretched his fists and feet, and a dull sound of thunder broke out in his body. Sube looked at Helena and said proudly, "Now, I can easily suppress you." Helena was confused. She has the strength of gold senior, while Sube has only silver inferior. After Sube completed the promotion, he decisively gave instructions to himself. Helena pondered whether she should ask Eve for help and draw her a set of body-strengthening magic patterns, and she must not admit defeat. Refresh. Totally incomparable. But the next scene made her decisively give up this idea. But she couldn't refute this sentence. The colorful light appeared again. Boom. Another mythical entry. Advertisement. Chapter 182. The Indestructible Holy Body. Loyalty of the Mermaid Tribe. A mythical entry was swiped with one swipe, and Sube was still very satisfied with the system. Very discerning. Focus on the colorful light ball, and the corresponding attributes will appear in your mind. Indestructible Sacred Body. Mythic level. The damage received is reduced by 90%, the recovery speed is increased to the limit, and the ability to regenerate from severed limbs is obtained similar to killing God. The indestructible holy body can also be divided into 3 effects. The first is to reduce the damage, reducing the damage by 90%, which can already allow Sube to face the attack of the gold level or even platinum level powerhouse, and there is no need to hide. Before, Sube has always been more offensive than defensive. Now, this weakness is made up. Sube felt that he could resist the energy cannon bombard hard. Followed by overspeed recovery. This ability seems a bit tasteless. Because of the defensive ability of the indestructible sacred body, the chance of Sube being injured is very small. But it's always good. In the face of top powerhouse sneak attack, it is very useful. Finally, it is the ability that Sube values most, rebirth from a broken limb. And according to his perception, as the level continues to increase, this ability will also be strengthened. Even if he was beaten only halfway, as long as he had a breath, he could recover on the spot. Furthermore, Sube could even be reborn from a drop of blood in the near future. Killing God, plus, indestructible holy body, both offensive and defensive, makes Sube completely transformed into a human tank. Without the slightest hesitation, Sube decided to fix it. As for the other 2 epic level candidates, there is no need to look at them. In front of the myth level, the legendary level entry can only be regarded as a younger brother, let alone the next level epic level. Fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. In an instant, the aura gathered again, strengthening Sube from the inside out, strengthening every cell. During this process, Sube also absorbed a lot of spiritual energy. The total amount absorbed is more than 10 times that of the promotion to the silver level. His clothes had already turned to dust under the impact of such a glorious aura. The exposed body is glowing like the most perfect creation in the world. The most important thing is that just by looking at it, a concept will pop up in your mind subconsciously. Indestructible. Helena also saw such a scene and resolutely gave up her previous thoughts. The island owner's strength has improved by leaps and bounds. Even if she draws 10 sets of body-strengthening magic patterns, she is not an opponent at all. Alas, it can only be suppressed. Helena whispered. Sube didn't respond. He immersed himself in the strengthening of his body, feeling the slightest changes. Others sensed the changes here and rushed over. If Helena hadn't surrounded Sube with a piece of cloth in advance, he would have had a frank meeting with everyone. Eve watched for a while, and wailed, "It's over. It's even harder to break the skin of the island owner now." Obviously, she already has a lot of obsession with helping Sube draw magic patterns. Originally, he was planning to find a dwarf master to customize the magic pen, but Sube turned his head and fixed an entry for indestructible holy body, increasing his defense power. Eve was hit hard. Helena was very calm. She thought for a moment and said, "I think, even if you draw the magic pattern, I am afraid it will be dispelled by the island owner's own power." After Sube drank the upgrade elixir, Helena discovered that there were other powers in his body. That is completely different from the power of the Demon Slayer warrior. At that time, drinking the upgrade secret medicine immediately triggered the counterattack of that force, forcing Helena to suppress it herself. It is also through the close-up perception that Helena is sure. Even if Eve can break Sube's skin and draw the magic pattern on it, The power contained in it will be quickly eliminated. Eve was even more shocked. Even though she had such a powerful body in front of her, she couldn't draw a magic pattern on it. There is still such torture in this world. Eve muttered in a low voice. Others were convinced and wished to pay homage. In their field of vision, Sube was carrying the Huang Wang Tanwai, completely unable to look directly. Obviously there are only silver subordinates, but it makes them feel as if they are facing the gods. The new mermaid, observing from a distance, did not dare to come forward. The aura of this human island owner is too strong, and they have to bear heavy pressure to take a step forward. Rudd murmured to himself, is this really what humans can do? Lu whispered beside him, Father, believe me now, it is the glory of our Ike tribe to be able to follow this Lord. 35 Rudd nodded again and again. He was still a little skeptical at first, but now, he has no doubts. Even if there is no fixed entry, Lud made up his mind to follow the island owner. The merman behind Lud and his son also had the same expression. This human island owner, although his level is not high, has already shown signs of being an absolute powerhouse. If you don't hold your thighs at this time, when will you wait? Besides, even the mermaid Lord Devet chose to follow this lord, and their choice would never be wrong. The position around the strong is limited, and the earlier you stand, the greater the benefits. With wisdom in Lud's eyes, he said, Lulu, you will be the patriarch of the Ike tribe in the future, and you have the ability to lead the tribe to new glory. You will swear your loyalty later, understand? Lulu nodded heavily, understood. After a while, the aura fluctuations ceased, and Sube slowly opened his eyes and looked around. The members of the island who were swept by their eyes felt that all their secrets had been seen through, and their hearts became more and more respectful. Before Sube could speak, he felt cold and looked down. Why are there only cloth strips left? Juan Minayu fetched the clothes in time, Sube said after changing. Okay, it's all gone. I have nothing to do with 670. Everyone, stay. Lu stepped forward and stopped everyone and said, please help me be a witness. The crowd stopped. Lulu came to Sube, lowered his head, raised his hands high, and said loudly, Luru, the new head of the Ike tribe, on behalf of all members of the tribe, dedicates loyalty to His Excellency Sube. With a solemn face, Sube put the index finger and middle finger of his right hand together, tapped Lulu's left and right palms 3 times, and said solemnly, I accept your loyalty. This is the common etiquette of Aboriginal people. Used to swear loyalty. Inviolable. If Luru betrays, Helena and Eve, the 2 gold-level powerhouses who are watching the ceremony, will take action to destroy the entire Ike tribe. Even if they don't have a fixed term, they do it. This is an ancient covenant that Aboriginal people abide by. Sube didn't expect that even if he fixed an entry, he could still gain the loyalty of the merman tribe. With this courtesy, the effect is no less than that of fixed entries. In the years to come, the merman of the Ike tribe will swear to the death to defend his glory. Sube stretched out his hand to help Lulu up and said, now is the preparation stage, everything is simple, and when the battle is over, a banquet must be held to celebrate. Therefore, none of you can have an accident, this is an order. Lulu straightened his body, with tears in his eyes, his right hand clenched his fist heavily on his heart, and shouted, as you wish. Advertisement. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183 Gold Dwarf. With the allegiance of the merman, many things are easier to do. Under the witness of the ancient covenant, the loyalty of these mermaids, not to mention the constant 100 of the system, is at least 90 or more. Afterwards, everyone dispersed. It is not yet time to rest, and the offensive of the Dark-Tide Merlix has been repelled, and it is only temporary. Under the sea, there are countless Dark-Tide Merlix in action, ready to rush to the island to slaughter at any time. Sube began to take stock of the follow-up plans. He now has the ability to fix the second entry, but he cannot use it at will. On the contrary, it is more to fix the first entry first, so as to continue to increase the number of power users. The Aborigines of the Blue Star are different from the Merman. There are ancient covenants between the Aborigines that have been passed down from ancient times to the present, as long as they are not eroded by demonic energy, or they rely on the dark race. All the Aborigines must abide by them. There is no need to doubt the loyalty of the Merman. However, Blue Star's ability candidates are different. The situation in Blue Star is too chaotic, and countless pairs of eyes are staring at Subei's company. Even Du Ling's personally selected candidates for power users cannot be said to be completely safe. Therefore, to increase the ability user, we can only use the previous method to bring a few back to the island every day. Fortunately, with the addition of 35 mermen, they can enhance the defense capability of the underwater bastion. If Subei was given a few more days to prepare for the Undertide Murloc riot this time, there would be no pressure. But things have happened. There is nothing to complain about. The challenge is. While thinking about it, Shen Qingling sent a message. She has completed the raising of equipment and materials and sent them directly. As for the price, I didn't mention it at all. Shen Qingling knew that when Subei resolved the battle, the spoils would be used to offset the account. There is absolutely nothing to worry about in this regard. In fact, these materials were intended to be given to Subei by the special team. However, Shen Qingling knew Subei's character, and he didn't like to owe favors, so he would definitely not accept it. Shen Qingling is now fully responsible for the liaison with Subei, and the special task force will also accept her opinion, so she will not say more, just cover her head and collect supplies. Subei was very satisfied with the arrival of a large number of supplies and equipment. It was then handed over to Zhuan Menaiu for handling. Among them, the harpoon launcher and the harpoon of all levels will be transported to the underwater channel in advance, and the merman will be able to pick it up and shoot. The specially made harpoon will easily tear the body of the enemy, and the power is not under the skill. The meticulously crafted mines are also placed, and when the Darktide Murlocs come back, they will be thrown into the sea, and they will definitely blow them upside down. Secondly, Shen Qingling also brought another news. The special team has already contacted the dwarf tribe, and there will be a reply soon without even having to wait until tomorrow. After all, I have dealt with such a thing once before, I have experience, and the efficiency is quite high. Subei immediately thanked him. He knew that the special team must have paid a lot of manpower and material resources for this. Thinking about giving some Darktide Murloc corpses at that time. Not long after the chat with Shen Qingling ended, the spirit of the island reported that the underwater passage had been completed and was carried out in strict accordance with the requirements. This is also the benefit brought by the upgrade of the soil spirit and the younger brothers. The ability to control the soil has been greatly improved, and the work progress is fast. Under the blessing of abundant crops, the elemental creatures on the island have benefited a lot. Not only can you speak and express your thoughts, but the level is also faster than one. The earliest earth spirits now have bronze rank, and the rest have generally reached the black iron high level and top level. In a few days, they will all be promoted to bronze rank. In fact, not only elemental creatures, but other island members are not slow either. Du Ling is already at the top of the black iron level, and with the blessing of the aura gathering magic pattern, she will soon be promoted to the bronze level. Zhuan Menaiu and the Lin family sisters reached the advanced level of black iron. The other power users are also rushing towards the black iron intermediate level, and the progress is very significant. Although such a grade is not high, Subei does not choose. The time advantage is on his side. In the evening, Shen Qingling sent another message. There was a response from the dwarves, and more than 20 dwarves were ready to send over at any time. Subei was startled. What did Olger and Norton write to the clan? Why did they shout so much at once? Most importantly, according to Shen Qingling's description, among these dwarves, there is actually a gold rank. As for the silver rank, there are 6, and the rest are bronze rank. Shen Qingling sent a sour message at the time. Can you tell me the secret of your recruitment of Aborigines? I am sour. Very sour. Subei replied truthfully, I didn't do anything. They came by themselves. This sentence made Shin Kingling immediately turn off the chat bar. However, a message was soon sent over, and more than 20 dwarves were sent over. Augur, Norton and others have received the news and are full of anticipation. The teleportation light dissipated, and 23 dwarves appeared in front of Subei. The dwarf headed by him is named Gabriel, with a strong physique and a calm aura. The muscles on the arms bulged high, and the expression was fierce. It looks like a violent temper. Before Subei could speak, Augur and Norton shouted in surprise, "Teacher, why are you here?" Gabriel's violent temper rushed over to Bang Bang and kicked Augur and Norton away, scolding, "I heard that you are forging nether energy cannons. Even at your level, you dared to open the furnace, and you are not afraid of being attacked. Blow up." 99 Subei quickly stepped forward to dissuade him. "Good guy, this is a gold intermediate, and Augur and Norton are also bronze." Gabriel glared at him and shouted at Subei, "As the island owner, why don't you stop me? If something happens, you will regret it for the rest of your life." After he finished speaking, he wanted to repeat his old tricks, and gave Subei 2 feet. Subei stood still, firmly controlling Gabriel. "What?" Gabriel was a little surprised, looked at Subei carefully, and then looked shocked. "How did you train such a strong body?" Eve said quietly beside him, "I want to know too." Only then did Gabriel realize that there were 2 elves beside him at some point, and he hurriedly greeted him. Although he has the strength of the golden intermediate level, he does not dare to care about it. The illustrious name of the elves is not just talking about it, it is piled up by the corpses of countless dark races. Helena and Eve returned the gift. Everyone is gold, not so particular about it. Afterwards, Eve asked expectantly, "Master Gabriel, can you help me forge a magic pen that can break the skin of the island owner?" Hearing this, Gabriel coughed twice in embarrassment and said, "Your Excellency Eve, I think this matter needs to be considered in the long run." Subei almost laughed. This gold-level dwarf with thick eyebrows and big eyes actually slows down his army. Gabriel changed the subject decisively, looked at Norton, and said, "You said in your letter that the craftsmanship has been greatly improved, and you want your brothers to come to witness. I was very curious, so I came in person." Subei understood. Feelings this gold-level dwarf was not on Augur and Norton's list at first, but he couldn't hold back his curiosity and came by himself. As for the improvement of craftsmanship, Wangzhao's, mentioned by Norton in the letter, it is naturally the effect of the entry master of the furnace. But Norton was very measured and didn't say much. In this regard, Subei is still confident. Now that Gabriel asked, Norton immediately looked confident and said, "Teacher, please come with me. As long as I demonstrate it once, you can see the difference." Everyone decisively moved to the forge. Seeing the meteorite iron in the furnace and the giant Yanyan stone next to it, Gabriel wanted to kick someone again, and scolded, "How do I usually teach you? Even if you are casting a small energy cannon, you must accurately calculate the material's matching ratio. What kind of thing are you smelting meteorite iron?" Augur and Norton bowed their heads in shame, not daring to refute them. But Subei was shocked by the keywords. The Yang Yan stone cast with such a large Yang Yan stone is actually a small energy cannon? How fierce is that medium-sized or even large-scale energy cannon? Wouldn't it be easy to destroy the island with one shot? Outrageous. But immediately, Subei got excited. Since Gabriel said so, it means that he will cast a higher specification energy cannon. This master dwarf must stay. Advertisement Chapter 184 Gold Level Dark-Tide Merlix. In 1 second, everyone had just arrived at the forge, and before Norton could reveal his abilities, the spirit of the island reported the situation. A dark-tide murloc is approaching rapidly. At the same time, there are also a large number of monsters such as sea snakes and sea lizards. Subei was relieved. He added a large number of people to the island in the past 2 days, which attracted the attention of the monsters. Taking advantage of the opportunity of the dark-tide murlocs to attack, he also followed to fight the autumn wind. There is no doubt that this battle will be tougher than the previous ones. But Subei was unafraid. In the previous battle, The island also did not use its full strength. He and Helena and Eve didn't shoot the whole time. It was just other people who drove back nearly 1,000 Darktide Murlocs. This time, even if there are several hundred more monsters, it is not a problem at all. Ready to fight. Su-Bei gave an order and conveyed the order to the ears of every combatant through the spirit of the island. Afterwards, Su-Bei looked at Gabriel and said apologetically, "When the battle is over, I will discuss with the master in detail." Gabriel waved his hand. "Your Excellency is welcome. Since we have chosen to come, we are ready." Saying that, Gabriel took off the battle axe behind him and held it in his hand, and said with full of fighting intent, "My battle axe is already hungry." 9. The other 22 dwarves who came with Gabriel quickly came up and grabbed Gabriel's arm, and said, "Teacher, forget it, really forget it. You rest, let us come." 99. This scene shocked Su-Bei a little. Then he looked at Gabriel's skill bar. There is a skill called Berserker. At that time, I understood the origin of 670. He estimated that the dwarf master often hit his head, and the teammates who were smashed by him could be piled up into hills. Su-Bei said decisively, "Master Gabriel, such a trivial matter doesn't require your action. If this enemy can't be solved, how can I keep you guys living on the island?" When Gabriel heard it, it was the truth. Hanging the battle axe back on his back, he said, "Your Excellency is right, we are guests after all, but we still need help by the side, and there is also someone to take care of." Su-Bei naturally would not object. Then everyone went to the beach. The turtle squad is ready. The earth spirit also raised rock and soil pillars of different heights on the beach, which were hard in texture and could effectively block the impact momentum of dispersed enemies. The sea in the distance began to boil, and the roar quickly approached. Boom! With a muffled sound, the nether energy gun began to roar. In the rising water column, dozens of undertide Murlocs were broken into pieces. Gabriel looked surprised. The power of this nether energy cannon seems to be a bit unusual. 35. Norden smiled confidently and said, "Teacher, you will know the reason later." Gabriel's eyes widened, as if he wanted to slap Norden, but he held back. Afterwards, the second nether energy cannon bombarded and killed hundreds of Darktide Murlocs. This is the diffuse entry effect, especially useful for mowing. After that is the Yang Yen cannon. However, the effect of attacking the target in the water is less than satisfactory. BHCF in particular, the burning effect cannot be brought into play at all. Fortunately, the explosion was powerful enough to kill dozens of Darktide Murlocs. After the 3 shellings were over, the Darktide Murloc's large army also moved forwards for thousands of meters and began to land. The water cannon turtle came up with 2 cannons, sending the leading Darktide Murlocs back to the sea. Followed by the heavy water impact of the heavy water turtle, disrupting the enemy formation. Gabriel was even more surprised. How many secrets does this island have? Even mermaids have them. But considering that there are still 2 elves on the island, Gabriel calmed down again. There are even elves, so it's not a big deal to have a few more mermaids. Rumble. The rock pillars are constantly being destroyed. The Darktide Murlocs pushed forward. There are also many ferocious sea snakes infested, spewing venom. But they were all intercepted in midair. Freedom, attack. Ling launched an attack with the power user troops. She just used the dark underworld fruit potion, and her strength has improved. She was looking for a chance to test it, and the Darktide Murloc came to her door. Fire is on right now. Although the rank is only the top of the Black Iron, but with the blessing of the Death Saints, the damage ability is not weaker than the Bronze rank. A venom shot past. A dozen Darktide Murlocs wailed and turned into pus. Su-Bei watched the battle and was still very satisfied. Now the strength of the island is stronger day by day. He lies still, and there are changes with each passing day. This is something that other island owners cannot envy. While thinking about it, Su-Bei found that there were 2 silver-level Darktide Murlocs mixed in the team, trying to fish in troubled waters. However, their plans were seen through in an instant. The spirit of the island immediately alerted the combatants, and instructed Shinji to mark them. The 2 Darktide Murlocs were surprised to find that they were actually glowing. Among the lacquered piers, It is particularly dazzling. The surrounding dark-tide Murlocs were also shocked. Why are you so prominent? But prominence obviously comes at a price. Moore charged forward with an iron rod, a rotating water shield on his body, blocking the attack for him. Boom. The silver-level dark-tide Murloc on the left had his head smashed and fell to the ground without moving. The other dark-tide Murloc was taken away by Yvette with the water arrow. With the blessing of water, Yvette's water skills are particularly fierce. Gabriel felt it for a moment, and said in surprise, "What is the origin of this mermaid? Her water arrows can actually pose a certain threat to me." 99 The dwarves accompanying them were also surprised. His teacher is a gold intermediate powerhouse. And that mermaid is only a silver senior, and the difference in strength is at least 10 times. As a result, the opponent's water arrows can actually threaten their own teacher? Isn't this a bit outrageous? The dwarves even doubted for a while whether the teacher felt it wrong, or whether it was just to take into account the face of the other party. However, after observing for a while, the 6 silver-level dwarves said that they were not Yvette's opponents at all. While shocked, the remaining bronze dwarves also began to wonder why Yvette was so powerful. She looks like a normal mermaid, not a queen blood. Why can there be such a strong strength? Hearing the whispers of the dwarves, Sube smiled. Curiosity killed the cat. These dwarves obviously did not understand the essence. As long as you are curious, you are destined to settle on the island. After gathering his thoughts, Sube decided to show his hand and add fire to let these dwarves know what invincibility is. After taking off the Longian sword, which had been reforged and upgraded to the middle grade of gold, Sube stretched his fists and said, "Go back and let me come." The people who were fighting immediately stopped and retreated. The remaining hundreds of dark-tide Murlocs target Sube. They know that as long as this human being is killed, victory is theirs. Dark-tide Murloc roared forward. Sube calmly stretched out his hand and smeared the Longian knife, and the Shenwang sharp blade completed the blessing. Then the legs exerted force and disappeared in place in an instant. The speed was so fast that Gabriel's expression changed. He could only barely lock the trace of this human being. Has the Blue Star humans evolved to this level? Outrageous. Just when Gabriel was in shock, Sube started his performance. With a flick of the wrist, the gust of wind flew out. After being promoted to the silver level, Sube's Gale Slash had 5 chi blades and a flying distance of more than 20 meters. The air blade flew through the formation of the dark-tide Murlocs, easily severing nearly 100 dark-tide Murlocs, and the fractures were as smooth as a mirror. Some dark-tide Murlocs even rushed forward a few steps before splitting in half. Boom. The sea in the distance exploded. The violent energy fluctuations are approaching at an extreme speed. It was a dark-tide Murloc with a low level of gold. Gabriel immediately took off his battle axe and was ready to go. However, out of the corner of his eyes, he saw that Helena and Eve showed no sign of making a move. Are these two elves just passing by, so they are indifferent? 9 Gabriel thought to himself. Forget it, since the elf doesn't take action, he will solve the crisis. We can't just sit back and watch this human island owner die here. Just before Gabriel could take a step, he heard Sube snort lowly. Dan Wu, exterminate demon slash. The knife light flashed away. The gold-level dark-tide Murlocs in mid-air were cut off in an instant, and their bodies fell weakly into the sea, ups and downs with the waves. 66. 99 There was a moment of silence on the battlefield. Immediately afterwards, the remaining dark-tide Murlocs fled without looking back. What a joke, the big brother in the lead is cold, and he hits a hammer. Advertisement Chapter 185, Conquering People with Force. The battle ended quickly. After Sube stabbed the gold-level dark-tide Murloc with one knife, all the courage on the opposite side vanished, leaving only the embarrassed fleeing. Thousands of dark-tide Murlocs and the same number of monsters attacked, but only 2 or 3 of the 10 escaped in the end, and the rest became cold corpses. Sube ordered the battlefield to be cleaned up. The benefits of this battle are still very considerable. In addition to the black iron bronze level corpses all over the ground, there are also many silver level corpses. While the dwarf Gabriel was thinking about life, he deliberately brought back the corpse of the gold-level dark-tide Murloc, and tapped it with his fingers to make sure that the scales of this thing were very hard. Then he asked his silver-level disciple to chop with all his strength. The 6 silver-level dwarves were sweating profusely from exhaustion, and finally shattered a small scale, and then they could no longer lift their arms. Even if they are dead. The gold-level Dark-Tide Murloc's scale defense is also very impressive, and their white-silver level is difficult to break. Gabriel grabbed his beard and muttered to himself with a tangled face, "How the hell did you do it, and why it can be done in 1 second, even a demon slayer, shouldn't be?" 35 Augur said mysteriously next to him, "Teacher, this is nothing. The island owner can kill the silver-level sea general in seconds when he is at the black iron level." 6699 Gabriel was silent for a moment, then looked at Subei and said seriously, "I admire the strength of your excellency. Looking at the entire island world, it is rare to see someone like you." Subei smiled and waved his hand, "Master Gabriel is welcome. I still have a long way to go." After some business exchanges, the atmosphere at the scene eased a lot. After leaving the necessary staff to guard and clear the battlefield, Subei and the dwarves returned to the forge. The corpse of the gold-level Dark-Tide Murloc was also brought back together. This guy's scales will be shaped into armor and shields by Gabriel. That defensive power is absolutely unshakable. This thing can be done easily for Gabriel, and what he cares more about is the improvement of craftsmanship that Norden said. It wasn't long before they left the tribe, maybe less than 10 days. It is said that the craftsmanship has improved, and it has been greatly improved. Gabriel's first reaction was to brag. But he also knew the character of his disciple, very calm. And dwarves never joke about forging. To say it is an improvement is definitely an improvement. At that time, I couldn't sit still, and came with the other dwarves. With confidence, Norton took out the equipment blank from the furnace next to him, and went down with a few hammers, immediately causing Gabriel's eyes to widen. As a gold-level dwarf, Gabriel's eyes are so vicious, he can see at a glance that Norton's skills at this time are completely different from when he was in the dwarf tribe. The improvement is very obvious. Every time he swings the hammer, it is the most suitable angle and strength. The equipment blank is in Norton's hands, and he is obedient, and it is quickly modified and formed. This is a pair of bracers, according to the specifications. It is made for the Tauren. It seems that Norton is determined to turn the 3 Tauren into a mobile fortress. Gabriel grabbed the hot wrist guard and put it in his hand to watch it carefully. Subei couldn't help but stare at him. A pair of ruthless iron hands. After a while, Gabriel sighed, "Norton, I didn't expect you to get such a big improvement after leaving the tribe." 5 Gabriel's expression was a little sad. "It seems that I haven't discovered your potential." Norton said quickly, "Teacher, what you taught me will be unforgettable in my life." Immediately, Norton introduced Gabriel, "Teacher, it is the island owner's credit that I can achieve my current achievements." Gabriel was surprised, looked at Subei, and asked, "Your Excellency can still forge?" Subei waved his hand, "No. At most, he will temporarily repair the remaining gaps in the equipment, which is far from the real forging." Gabriel was even more surprised. Augur said next to him, "Teacher, this is the unique ability of the island owner, he can give others unprecedented power." 99 After finishing speaking, Augur took out 2 magic iron arrows from the corner and held them in his left and right hands respectively. "This is a magic iron arrow made by Hubert and I. Teacher, look at the difference." 35 Normally, Gabriel wouldn't even be able to look at this black iron level magic iron arrow. But Gabriel's eyes swept away, and immediately dropped the bracer in his hand, and turned to pick up the magic iron arrow. This gold level master blacksmith, like a child who has obtained a new toy, has a surprised expression. After a brief observation, Gabriel saw the difference. This magic iron arrow has an extra sharp attribute. If your senior brothers cast it, it can be achieved, but you only have bronze rank, so you shouldn't be able to master this technology. And this magic iron arrow, without adding rare ores, has been upgraded to the middle grade of black iron. This is also the new ability you got from Lord Subei? 5 Augur, and Hubert nodded again and again. With a thoughtful expression on his face, Gabriel handed over the 2 magic iron arrows to the disciples for circulation, which immediately caused a chorus of admiration. Don't mention how proud they are. There are not many opportunities to stand out in front of teachers and many brothers and sisters. Gabriel looked at Subei with an indescribable expression. After a long time, Gabriel said, "This method is like a god." Subei smiled. "That's still a long way off." Gabriel immediately smiled. "Indeed, it's still a long way off." Afterwards, Gabriel said sternly, "Thank you for your rescue of Og and for Norton and the others. If Your Excellency doesn't mind, I would like to be able to settle on the island for a while and witness it with my eyes." Subei nodded. "It couldn't be better. Ask for flowers." Subei did not rush to fix Gabriel's entry. After gaining the allegiance of the Shark tribe, Subei also thought about the principles of getting along with the Aborigines in the future. To sum it up in a few words, conquer people with force and conquer people with virtue. Coupled with the attractiveness of the entry, do not believe that these Aborigines will not enter the pit. When the time is right, and the chief of the Aboriginal people is brought under his command, the stability can be ensured to the greatest extent. To put it bluntly, it is still because the entry fixed opportunities are not enough. With the development of the island, there will be more and more Aborigines who will be subdued in the future. It would be great if loyalty could be secured in other ways. With the entry ability shown by Augur, Norton and Hubert, the current Gabriel can't be blasted away. As long as he stayed a few more days, he would never want to go back. Subei has this confidence. Subsequent entries still need to be refreshed and fixed, which can continue to improve Gabriel's strength. It's a pity that the refreshes this time are very general, so I can only give up. Concentrating his mind, Subei began to ask about the energy cannon. "Master Gabriel, you said that the energy cannons on the island are small, medium-sized or even large. What kind of energy stone is needed?" Subei said and picked up the 2 giant Yanyan stones. "Take this as a reference. How big is it?" 99. When it comes to professional issues, Gabriel immediately threw away his doubts and said with a gesture, "The minimum specification of a medium-sized energy cannon requires about 5 times as much Yanyan stone." 35. Subei was startled. The piece in his hand was already about the size of his head. If it is 5 times larger, wouldn't it have to be half a meter smaller in diameter? And this is the lowest specification medium energy cannon. After speaking, Gabriel added, "With my current strength, I can only cast medium-sized energy cannons at most." The second is the polymerization casting method, which combines several medium-sized energy cannons, and then compresses and condenses them through a new barrel, so as to have a stronger damage ability. "That's right." Gabriel nodded. "Actually, there are 2 ways to cast large energy cannons. One is to find a super large energy stone and cast it as a whole." Subei then asked, "What about the large energy cannon?" "However, this method is very difficult, mainly in the natural environment. The larger the volume of the power stone, the more difficult it is to preserve." Subei knew, and said, "Master Gabriel, rest assured, I will contact other island owners to obtain the corresponding power stone as soon as possible." Gabriel blinked his eyes and asked curiously, "Does Your Excellency have a deep hatred with anyone, and you want to bombard it with a large energy cannon?" Subei smiled. "Just plan ahead, and maybe you will find a power stone of the corresponding specification." Gabriel immediately rubbed his hands and said, "Why is this so embarrassing?" Advertisement. Chapter 186. Underwater Offensive and Defense. Gabriel and others settled on the island. The first thing is to rebuild the forge. Originally, Augur and his 6 dwarves Garmer and his 3 Tauren were forging iron inside, and they all felt that the space was very spacious. But after 23 new dwarves arrived, it was immediately insufficient. Moreover, among these dwarves, there is also Gabriel, a gold-level dwarf, who cannot be neglected. Subei waved his hand, just to expand. With the assistance of the Earth Spirit, the new forging workshop was completed quickly, and it was directly expanded tenfold, which looked spectacular. The 3 furnaces are burning with raging fire, day and night, smelting and purifying the ore. With the addition of these dwarves, The remaining energy cannons started working at the same time. In just 3 more days, there will be 7 more energy cannons on Subei's island. At that time, no matter how many dark-tide fishmen came, they were all serving dishes. But Subei would not be satisfied with this, and decisively 670 contacted Shen Qingling. First teleport the corpses of 300 dark-tide merlics and 300 monsters. These are used to pay for the previous materials and equipment, and the rest is to buy forging tools. A large number of tools arrived and were sent to the forge. Later, Subei asked Shen Qingling about the power stone. With Gabriel there, it would be unreasonable not to cast a few medium-sized energy cannons. After listening to Subei's description, Shen Qingling replied, "The power stones you need are all scarce materials in the hands of experienced island owners, and you won't easily trade them unless you have a treasure that makes them excited." Subei began to take stock of existing resources. His island's development momentum is very strong, but compared with those top island owners, it is still a lot worse. The most important thing is that the time is short and the foundation is not enough. Especially those early island owners, who have devoted themselves to development for decades, not to mention creating super islands, the scale will not be small. The resources at your disposal are immeasurable. And Subei looked around his island, and the most valuable one at this stage was the potion. This is a good thing related to the power of the power user. Even senior island owners need to constantly cultivate new abilities. Power potion, they can use it. But if you want to exchange this for high standard energy stones, I am afraid it is not enough. Subei's heart moved, and one thing came to his mind. Those top island owners, they have spent a lot of time developing to the present. The problem of life expectancy is probably what they need to solve the most. You must know that even the aborigines of the island world are not all long-lived. As for the blue star human beings, the innate foundation is there, and even if there is a later compensation, it is limited. After mastering the supreme authority, it becomes extraordinarily difficult to give up. The soon-to-ripe blood spirit fruit will be a weapon in Subei's hands, easily breaking through the psychological defenses of those senior island owners. Moreover, the blood spirit fruit tree on Subei Island has been upgraded to the low-grade platinum, and the basic gold-level blood spirit fruit has 2 effects. With this in mind, Subei replied to Shen Qingling, "I have a blood spirit fruit tree that is about to mature, and it is of platinum quality." Shen Qingling immediately replied, "Okay, I'll help you get in touch. If it is other materials, Shen Qingling will politely remind Subei that it is not suitable. But the blood spirit fruit, and the blood spirit fruit of platinum quality, then there is no problem. However, Shen Qingling also made it clear that this matter requires a little preparation time. Because some island owners are reclusive, it is very inconvenient to contact them. In this regard, Subei is not in a hurry. There are still a few days before the blood spirit fruit matures, and he has to fight with the dark-tide merlics first. Shen Qingling made contact first, and when the matter here was over, it was just seamless. Afterwards, Subei passed some dark-tide merlics and monster corpses to Shen Qingling to buy more defensive weapons. The weapons and equipment were transported underwater. The earth spirit even had to temporarily widen the passage so that it could accumulate. Time passed quietly in preparation. The sea seemed very calm, and the dark-tide merlics did not strike again. But Subei knew these are temporary. The dark-tide merlics will definitely come again, and maybe there will be other dark races. In the deep sea, in addition to the dark-tide merlics, there are also tidal giants, naga, and sea snakes. These dark races will definitely take action whenever they have the chance. The real battle has yet to begin. Perhaps the gold-level dark-tide merlics were beheaded, which greatly deterred the dark-tide merlics in the surrounding waters, and no new enemies appeared until it was dark. Subei did not take the initiative to attack, but recharged his energy. The next day, he returned to Blue Star as usual and brought back 4 gunners and 4 candidates for power. Immediately, he wandered around the island and refreshed his entries. But adhering to the principle of maximizing improvement. The fixation of the second entry is obviously to be cautious. Subei sets the standard. If you don't brush out epic entries, it's definitely not fixed. As soon as the new gunner and power user candidates completed their awakening, The spirit of the island came to report the situation. Dark tide Murlocs are approaching underwater. They obviously learned from the experience of the first two failures and avoided being hard on the front. Prepare to play the spirit of Yugong moving mountains underwater and destroy the foundation of the island. And Subei had already responded. The power users drank the underwater breathing medicine and dived down the channel. Shui Ling assisted by the side, allowing them to move faster. The sharks also dived in batches. They were even faster, already holding the harpoon launcher and starting to shoot, to great effect. On the island, a large number of mines were thrown into the sea. Mines are constantly being triggered, blasting the undertide Murlocs into pieces. Of course, it is unrealistic to want to rely on Shui Ling to blow up all the dark-tide Murlocs. But it can limit their movement, thereby increasing the harpoon hit rate. The incoming dark tide Murloc was stunned. How can there be such a strong defense ability underwater? No matter which angle they approach from, they will be harpooned. And these harpoons are very powerful. As long as they hit, they can immediately penetrate their bodies. The scale defense that the dark tide Murlocs are proud of is as fragile as white paper in front of these harpoons. Even if he did not die on the spot, he would lose his mobility and be killed by subsequent harpoons. Dark green blood spreads 2.5 times in the ocean. However, the characteristic of the dark tide Murlocs is that they are numerous. More dark tide Murlocs emerged from the deep sea, rushing towards the island screaming strangely. Mines and harpoons are rapidly being consumed. Fortunately, the results were remarkable, and the number of dark tide Murlocs was also decreasing. The fighting lasted more than an hour. The power users drank 3 bottles of underwater breathing medicine, and finally repelled the offensive of the dark tide Murlocs. After counting, this battle consumed about 400 million materials. Subei couldn't help but sigh, and sure enough, war is a game that burns money. Fortunately, the recovered Murloc corpse made up for the gap, and there was even a slight balance. Subei didn't keep it, and passed it directly to Shen Qingling, and exchanged a lot of weapons and equipment again. He knew very well that the dark tide Murlocs would not give up. Today's has just begun, and it's still a long time. Advertisement Chapter 187 The new energy cannon is completed, the secret weapon of the dark tide Murlocs. After the first underwater attack and defense was over, everyone held a brief meeting. It mainly summarizes the advantages and disadvantages of underwater bastions, and makes further modifications. New tactics were also developed. It's a combination of mines and harpoons. Fragmentation mines are deployed, which are then detonated by fighters with harpoons. The dense shrapnel splashing will make the surrounding dark tide Murlocs too late to dodge. Applying Helena's special magic potion on the surface of the mine can definitely cause a lot of damage. The proposal was immediately accepted. After the revision and improvement, Subei contacted Shen Qingling and continued to buy mines. The quantity is so large that it has to be transferred from other special task force warehouses. The special team even prepared to work overtime to make more mines, and they must help Subei survive this dark tide Murloc riot. Dark tide Murlocs rioted in the current area, and other island owners encountered them. The news spread widely. While Subei was in the ocean current area, the special team knew it. The previous shark swarm incident, coupled with the encounter with Lin, the owner of the lighthouse country, has made this an open secret. The special team didn't even think about finding Subei. However, since Subei encountered the dark tide Murloc riot, the special team must of course give full support. Such a good seedling cannot die halfway. If you want a mine, give it. And full supply. Anyway, the material piles are also idle there. It is better to flow. Good for both parties. In addition, the special team is also very sad. How come Subei hits wherever he goes? Other island owners can't avoid fighting, but he is better. He doesn't run away even if he moves the island, and he takes the initiative to join up. However, it has also achieved rich results. Not only did the battle not drag him down, but instead, his development speed continued to increase. This makes no sense. On Subei's side, the new equipment and supplies just arrived, and the dark tide Murlocs arrived as promised. They seem to be specifically designed to help Subei verify the feasibility of new tactics. Boom boom boom. Under the sea surface, The dull blasting sound continued to sound. A large number of fragmentation mines were triggered, turning the surrounding waters into a place of death. The shrapnel flew through the water, bringing out a stream of air bubbles. Countless bubbles gathered together to form a quite spectacular picture. It's just that for the dark-tide Murlocs, such a picture is something they don't want to see. What is the origin of this shrapnel? As long as it is scratched by it, even a silver-level dark-tide Murloc will decay and die, and the death is very miserable. Naturally, the dark-tide Murlocs do not know that on the island of Subay, there is an elves master of potions. Configuring violent poison is not a problem at all. One after another, the dark-tide Murlocs left hundreds of corpses, and then retreated in embarrassment. After this retreat, they were much more settled and did not return for several hours. It's a pity that Subay can't continue to make a fortune. The ability users on the island also need to rest, and it is impossible to fight endlessly. Even if their mission is only aiming and shooting, and water spirits assist in moving, the pressure of battle will still increase physical exhaustion. The power user and the merman hurry up to rest and wait for a new battle. However, according to Subay's calculations, after a few losses, the dark-tide Murlocs should find that attacking underwater is not desirable. If they really want to end the fight, they have to attack from the water. Only by breaking the heart of the island and killing Subay is the real victory. Subay reckoned that the further attack would be a double attack on the ground and underwater. But that's not a problem at all. Because the combat power on the ground is the strongest. Time passed slowly, and soon it was evening, and the sky became dark. Subay stood on the island, watching the sunset, and his heart was like a mirror. When night falls, the dark-tide Murlocs will strike again. Sure enough, when it was more than 9 o'clock in the evening, the roar sounded. Thousands of dark-tide Murlocs attacked from different angles. In an instant, all the combatants received the three-dimensional detection data transmitted by the spirit of the island. There are so many red dots that it is impossible to count the number. Kill 35. Subay gave an order and rushed into the dark-tide Murlocs with a dragon yin knife in hand. Several gusts of wind slashed down, and more than 200 dark-tide Murlocs were slaughtered. Then moved quickly, rushed to another beach several hundred meters away, and the knife light flashed again. In just 2 minutes, the number of dark-tide Murlocs killed by Subay exceeded 500. Such divine power has greatly boosted the people on the island. The advanced dark-tide Murlocs hidden in the deep sea were dumbfounded. This is a golden mid-level dark-tide Murloc, and it was originally said to fight the autumn wind. But in the current situation, I am afraid that if I go, I don't want to come back. Thinking of his comrade who had been hacked to death before, this dark-tide Murloc decided to sit firmly in the back. Look at it first. The light of the mines exploded one after another in the water, and even illuminated the sea area. After nearly 2,000 deaths, the dark-tide Murlocs retreated. There is no strong person to limit Subay. They can't rush to the island at all. Even moving to an underwater attack would not help. That abominable human being, he even went into the water with him. At that time, the gold-level dark-tide Murlocs in the water were so frightened that their brains almost flew. After confirming that he was not the target of chasing and killing, the dark-tide Murloc quietly retreated several kilometers, and then continued to watch the battle. It also thought that it would be better if those mines could blow up this human being. Unfortunately, the dark-tide Murlocs were disappointed. The speed of that human being in the water was even faster than shrapnel, which was simply outrageous. The dark-tide Murloc decisively ordered to retreat. What else is there to fight? Go back and continue shaking people. Clean up the battlefield, recuperate personnel, transfer corpses, and buy equipment. The whole process Subay can be described as consummate and extremely skilled. Even Shen Qingling is about to become a professional arms dealer. After the battle at night, the dark-tide Murlocs died down. Subay also did not pursue, and arranged for the personnel to rest. After waking up, Subay returned to Blue Star to bring back the gunner and the power user, and then began to wait for the attack of the dark-tide Murlocs. As a result, the dark-tide Murlocs didn't come. Waiting from morning to afternoon, and from afternoon to night, Subay fell asleep with doubts. What are the dark-tide Murlocs playing? It was said that the slaughter was rampant in the sea area. How come there is no movement after a few fights? and there is no blood of the dark race. He also prepared a lot of generous gifts to wait for the Darktide Murlocs to come to the door. This time there is quite a feeling of power and nowhere to use. On the third day, before the Darktide Murlocs came, there was good news from the forge. The new energy cannon is complete. With the addition of Gabriel and his many disciples, the casting time of the energy cannon was shortened from the original 4 days to less than 3 days. The only regret is that the Yang Yan cannons corresponding to the 2 giant Yang Yan stones will have to wait another day. This time, 5 other energy cannons were completed. This time, Subei's island immediately possessed a full 8 energy cannons. 8 energy cannons, as long as the shelling rhythm is controlled, it is enough to produce continuous firepower output. Any enemy will be bombed too far. When the last 2 Yang Yan cannons are completed tomorrow, they will be absolutely invincible. Gabriel also swore by his beard that if the 2 Yang Yan cannons could not seriously injure the gold-level powerhouse, he would cut off his beard. For dwarves, a bushy beard is the most important companion, second only to the blacksmith. Gabriel's oath made the other dwarves respect him. The high-level energy stone that promised Gabriel has already begun to look forward. The special team has contacted several senior island owners, who are very interested in the blood spirit fruit. Just wait for the acquired blood spirit fruit to mature before you can start trading. This remark made Gabriel very satisfied, and there was a feeling that a scholar died for his confidant. Just when the atmosphere was eager, the Darktide Murlocs came. But this time, they came with a secret weapon, and Subei was stunned. Subei also responded. Good guy, is this for a benefit? Their teachers are fighting hard, so they can't hold back. Advertisement Chapter 188, Island World Edition. Iron Chain Boat. On the sea in the distance, a continuous black shadow appeared. That's a lot of island fragments. The top is bare, there is no plant at all, and the overall shape is a high platform. The Darktide Murloc hid behind the high platform, and it seemed that he was ready to attack from a height and jumped directly to the island. So as not to be blasted by Subei when landing. There's nothing wrong with this tactic. Those island fragments can effectively block the bombardment of the energy cannon and reduce the casualties of the Darktide Murlocs. And with the help of the high platform, the Darktide Murlocs can also land on the island as quickly as possible. As long as they can gain a firm foothold, they will quickly expand their advantages. This is not the point. The point is that these island fragments are connected to each other by chains and rush along the ocean currents at high speed. In an instant, Subei thought of the iron chain boat. But there are differences. Taisuo Lianzu is afraid of fire. Island fragments are not to be afraid of. There is not even a root of grass. No matter how violent the fireboat hits it, it will be extinguished. Others on the island also received the news and landed on the high platform one after another, shocked by this scene. Zhuan Menaiu couldn't help but muttered, "Don't these Darktide Murlocs know that we have 8 energy cannons? Can we sink them on the way?" 5 As soon as she finished speaking, Zhuan Menaiu discovered the problem. Darktide Murlocs really don't know. During the battle a few days ago, the new energy cannons had not been completed, and even in the fiercest battle, only 3 energy cannons could be used. The Darktide Murlocs used this as a basis for judgment, and it was indeed no problem to engage in such an offensive drama. If there are only 3 energy cannons, these fragments can indeed carry them straight to the island. But here's the problem. Due to the arrival of Gabriel and others, the forge was able to forge several energy cannons at the same time, and the progress was also improved a lot. After all, in addition to Gabriel, there are 6 dwarves who have reached the silver level, and their craftsmanship should not be underestimated. Under the blessing of Norton's Furnace Master entry, the efficiency of the forge is extremely amazing, and the key is that there are basically no mistakes. Even if there is, it can easily make up for it, and it will not affect the casting of the energy cannon. Because of this, the new dwarves are very envious of Og. Everyone is from the same tribe, and even taught by the same teacher. Just because Og and the others stayed on Subei's island for a few more days and acquired new abilities, they directly dumped them 8 blocks away. Gabriel is also very moved. He has a straight personality and finds Subei directly, hoping to obtain the same ability. Subei just smiled mysteriously, saying it wasn't time yet. It's not that Sube doesn't want to fix the entry for Gabriel. But the luck of this dwarf master is really bad. After a few days of brushing, the grade of the candidate entry has not exceeded the excellent grade. Sube is also melancholy. As the teacher of these dwarves, Gabriel must have the first fixed entry. This is courtesy. In the end, everything was ready, and the entry was not good enough. Sube almost jumped into the sea in depression. But on the bright side, he maintained the demeanor of an expert, only saying that the time had not come. Gabriel is also very knowledgeable, and he has found a reason for himself. Indeed, if this kind of power can be obtained casually, it is obviously unrealistic. This is the test given to him by the god of the furnace. After Gabriel figured it out, he swung the hammer harder. It also contributed to the early completion of the energy cannon. Now, these newly cast energy cannons will let the Darktide Merlix know that firepower is justice. Sube gathered his thoughts and gave an order: cover the attack from left to right. The nether energy cannons attack odd pieces, and the sun cannons attack even numbers. Follow your orders. Dingsina and the others immediately acted and adjusted the muzzle. The current gunner troop has reached the full 16 people, and the ability user is still halfway there. It will be filled in 2 days, so it is not a big problem. Boom. In the dull sound of shelling, the energy cannon began to show its might. On the fragments of the island in the distance, the Darktide Merlix are hiding behind cover, counting the number of shelling. Then, these Darktide Merlix were stunned. How come the numbers don't match? There were 4 explosions. Didn't it say that there were only 3 energy cannons? Which bastard lied about military intelligence? The things that make the Darktide Merlix even more terrifying are yet to come. Before the aftermath of the first round of shelling was over, the second round of shelling came. The Undertide Merlix who have just taken refuge in their new hideout are devastated. On the 2 island fragments, more than 60% of the Darktide Merlix died under the bombardment. Directly blinded the Darktide Merlix. The difference between 3 energy cannons and 8 energy cannons is completely different. On Sube's island, there are 4 nether energy cannons and 4 Yanyan cannons each, and they are divided into 2 teams for bombardment, which can kill the target as much as possible. The Darktide Merlix suffered from the loss of intelligence and immediately suffered heavy losses. Even if they were separated by a few nautical miles, Sube could hear the roar of the Undertide fish's popularity. But he didn't let his guard down. The Darktide Merlix have created such a big battle, and even the fragments of the island have been mobilized, and this unit will not be the only one. Under the water, there are probably more Darktide Merlix approaching. In other directions, there will also be Darktide Merlix waiting to land. Everyone is ready to fight. Sube gave orders to lead the crowd down the fort. Just leave it to Dingsina and the others. They are all professional gunners, so don't worry. With the order issued, the power user and the merman dived and waited in the underwater channel. A large number of mines were arranged around the island to prepare in advance. Less than half a minute after the mine was dropped, the explosion sounded. At the same time, dense red dots appeared on the stereo detection, but they were quickly blocked by the terrain and forced to rush forward along the fixed passage. This is also the tactic that Sube used in the beginning. The number of enemies is not terrible, as long as they are guided in a fixed direction. As for those Darktide Merlix who want to climb the mountain, the Mist Banshee is waiting for them. Boom. The energy cannon resurfaced, killing the Darktide Merlix on the island fragments. Due to a miscalculation, the elite of these Undertide Merlix suffered a devastating blow before they reached the island of Sube. But their sacrifices are not for nothing. At least all the energy cannons were contained and the landing troops were given a chance to breathe. It's just that the Darktide Merlix who landed are not too easy. As soon as Sube stood at the entrance of the passage, the Darktide Merlix stood up with scales. The Darktide Merlock at the front wanted to turn around and run away, but was pushed forward by the clan behind him, sending his head to the air blade. The gust of wind slashed and the killing started. Sube wandered among the Darktide Merlix, as if entering a land of no one. When hundreds of Darktide Merlix were killed, Helena's voice also rang in Sube's ears. There are gold-level powerhouses approaching. The number is 3, the orientation is north to west, and the underwater is 300 meters. Su-bei nodded, shook off the blood beads on the blade, ran out, and plunged into the deep sea. There, the three Dark-Tide Murlocs are discussing how to make a move. Then I saw a figure coming straight up. Danwu, exterminate demon slash. The mountain of swords flashed, instantly killing 2 gold-level Dark-Tide Murlocs. The remaining one was terrified. It came to attack 2 days ago, after the battle was unfavorable. It went back and called 2 strong men of the same level to help. Originally, I wanted to take down the island in one go and share the fruits of victory. In the end, before he could make a move, Su-bei came first. Wang Zhao, and he killed 2 gold-level Dark-Tide Murlocs with 1 knife. Danwu destroys the demon. Slaying the demon warrior. The final gold-level Dark-Tide Murloc had white scales and dared not move at all. If I had known that the island was a demon slayer, it would not come even if I killed it. It's okay now, it's too late to regret it. Divine Light Blade. Stigma slash. Gale slash. After finishing a set of skills, the third Dark-Tide Murloc was beheaded. Its luck was a little worse. It suffered the damage of the stigmata explosion and died in pain. The other 2 were much luckier. Danwu's Demon Slayer slash will kill with 1 blow, without pain. The bodies of the 3 gold-level Dark-Tide Murlocs were tied with ropes and dragged ashore. Just as Su-bei was about to kill hundreds of Dark-Tide Murlocs to add to the fun, he saw the intruding Dark-Tide Murlocs fleeing into the deep sea like crazy. They have completely lost their will to fight. The 3 leading eldest brothers were all cold and had no chance to fight at all. When there were Dark-Tide Murlocs fleeing, they did not forget to shout loudly. What kind of gold-level powerhouse, shouting loudly in the tribe, can't wait to kill the Mermaid Queen on the spot. The result is here in seconds. Not as good as shit. Advertisement Chapter 189. The rating of the island exceeded 5,000 stars. The blood spirit fruit is ripe, the Undertide Murlocs have retreated, and there is a high probability that they will not come again. 3 gold-level Dark-Tide Murlocs were killed and became the last straw that broke the camel's back. Plus the beginning of the second. 4 gold-level people have already died on this island. No matter how strong the fertility of the Dark-Tide Murlocs is, they can't bear such losses. And their main target is the mermaid family, and they can't lose too much combat power here. Can only calm down and retreat first. Su-bei is a pity. He even felt that he should be merciful. The corpse of the gold-level Dark-Tide Murloc is not low in value. This hammer business is not very happy. On the island, Helena and Eve looked at each other. They knew that Su-bei was very strong, but it was still somewhat unacceptable for them to directly kill 3 gold-level Dark-Tide Murlocs. Because they are also gold. Does it mean that Su-bei can rub them against the ground with 1 hand? Gabriel was very calm. He was very happy to see that Su-bei brought 3 more gold-level Dark-Tide Murloc corpses. He usually doesn't have much contact with such high-grade materials. Don't worry, Your Excellency. I will make full use of these 4 Dark-Tide Murlocs and strive to create platinum-level equipment. 39 Gabriel is confident and ready to hit a new height of 673 in his career. It was difficult, but Gabriel was ready. Su-bei was also delighted. Unexpectedly, there is a chance to obtain platinum-level equipment so quickly, and the progress is rapid. But equipment is secondary. Compared with personal improvement, Su-bei pays more attention to the overall development of the island. His main expectation for Gabriel was to cast a medium-sized energy cannon. As for platinum-level equipment, if it takes up too much time, it is better to settle for the next best thing and build some gold-level equipment first. As the battle progresses, more gold-level enemy corpses will inevitably be obtained, and there is no need to worry about the material problem. After discussing his ideas with Gabriel, Gabriel also agreed, nodded and said, "Your thoughts are very practical, but the problem is that we don't have power stones either." 35 Su-bei pointed to the island fragments that were approaching and said, "When those fragments are fused, my island rating will be able to reach a new level. At that time, under the blessing, the blood spirit fruit will ripen. I have contacted several people, an island owner, there will be news soon." Gabriel was overjoyed, but was too embarrassed to be too obvious, so he could only grab his beard and say, "Okay, this is really good news." 35 Then, The dwarf master excitedly started a new round of ironing. Sube left the forge and let the spirit of the island approach the drifting pieces of the island. In fact, when he first saw these island fragments, Sube knew that the Dark-Tide Merlix had brought him benefits. In front of the 8 energy cannons, these island fragments are not enough to see. All of these fragments add up to 3 square kilometers of land, which is enough to make his island rating exceed 5,000 stars and win the Island World Award. The Blood Spirit Fruit, which is only one step away from maturity, will fully mature. The next step is to exchange for high standard energy stones to create energy cannons. It seems that Shen Qingling can be contacted. While thinking about it, the island came into contact with the fragments, and the Earth Spirit brought the younger brothers forward and cleaned up the area that had been bombarded by the energy cannon. Then there is the integration and absorption of the familiar road. With the spirit of the island watching, Sube was relieved, and turned to visit the island to offer condolences to the wounded. In several battles, although there were no casualties, injuries were inevitable. Fortunately, the injury is not serious, and it can be recovered after 2 days of rest. There is a potion prepared by Helena, and the recovery speed is very fast. Around the island, the Dark-Tide Merlix were salvaged one after another and piled up on the beach according to different grades. In addition, there are a large number of monster corpses, which are also placed together. Zhuan Menaiu walked over quickly and reported, "Island owner, after recovering all the spoils, it is expected to bring in more than 300 million net income." 5. In fact, it could have been more. However, for the sake of safety, Sube threw numerous mines, which greatly increased the cost. Even so, there is still money to be made. From this, you can imagine how many Dark-Tide Merlix were killed in this battle. Sube nodded and instructed, "Half of this part of the income is transferred to the company's account. BHCF. As for the rest, the combatants will each receive a bonus of 2 million, and the wounded will be doubled. Yvette and the Aborigines, just ask what you want, make a list, and buy them together." Zhuan Menaiu nodded again and again, "Island owner, rest assured, I will arrange this matter properly." Zhuan Menaiu did not express any opinion on this astronomical bonus. The whole island belongs to Sube, and all she has to do is follow orders. While thinking about it, Sube received a notification from Island World. Your island rating has been improved, and it is currently 5,166 stars! You are the first island owner to break through the 5,000 star rating of the island this year, and the growth rate of plants is increased by an additional 5%! Sube stopped and looked around. After the plants on the island were rewarded, the growth progress was improved again. The slight loss caused by the continuous transmission before has been completely made up. Bringing Zhuan Menaiu to the center of the island, Sube's smile could no longer be concealed. On the blood spirit fruit tree, there is a mature blood spirit fruit hanging, which is bright red and full of fragrance. The smell that came out made Sube feel comfortable all over. Zhuan Menaiu even exclaimed. Her level directly broke through to the top of the black iron. Sube didn't expect that the blood spirit fruit could have such an effect. Focusing his gaze, Sube saw the relevant attributes. Blood spirit fruit, low-grade platinum. After eating it increases the lifespan of 3 to 10 years, and at the same time improves the basic attributes. It can take effect 3 times the effect of blood spirit fruit. Makes Sube extremely hot. The reason for the difference in the increased lifespan is still related to the state of the eater. For example, those who are old and debilitated have poor self-vitality. Even if they have the blood spirit fruit, they can only increase their lifespan by 3 or 5 years. And Sube is at the peak of his physical strength, and the effect is directly full. Without the slightest hesitation, Sube picked up 3 blood spirit fruits and swallowed them in a few mouthfuls. Immediately, cool energy roamed in the body, quietly moisturizing his body. Moreover, the power of the blood spirit fruit is very soft, and it will not cause the confrontation between the killing god and the immortal holy body. Boom! The energy fluctuation exploded, and Sube's level was directly upgraded to silver intermediate. Ding! The level of the host increases, and the fixed number of daily entries increases by 1. The life energy of the blood spirit fruit is too pure, and for Subei at this time, the strengthening effect is extremely high. Let him easily upgrade to the silver intermediate level. The main effect of the blood spirit fruit is to increase the lifespan, and the basic attributes that are improved are not many. But after 10 times magnification of killing God, it is quite impressive. And it was superimposed 3 times. In just a few minutes, Subei's strength increased by more than 50%. Subei clenched his fists, feeling the new strength, unable to restrain his smile any longer, and laughed freely. Zhuan Menyu stood quietly beside her, with infinite admiration in her eyes. After a while, Subei calmed down and directly sent a blood spirit fruit to Shen Qingling. Soon, Shen Qingling sent a series of numbers. Here are the coordinates. There is also a message. Coordinates of the headquarters of the Special Task Force, absolutely safe. Advertisement: if you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190: Special Task Force Headquarters. Before Subei chatted with Shen Qingling and determined the way of the transaction. It will be carried out under the witness of the Special Task Force. The blood spirit fruit passed on to Shen Qingling is equivalent to a guarantee, indicating that Subei is not empty-handed and a white wolf, but he really has the blood spirit fruit. After all, the special team believes in Subei, but other senior island masters may not necessarily. After the special team was confirmed, they also asked Shen Qingling to send the coordinates of the headquarters, which could be sent directly. But before that, there are still things to deal with. Wang Ling has picked all the blood spirit fruits, a total of 16. In addition to being eaten by Subei and sent to Shen Qingling, this time a total of 20 blood spirit fruits were harvested. And this is the output that is only available on the magic field of Grain Plenty. If it is a normal magic field or land, it is estimated that it is only a single digit. I have to say, the output of this stuff is really low. But it is precisely because of this that Subei has the opportunity to exchange the blood spirit fruit for a high-level energy stone. Naturally, these 16 blood spirit fruits would not be traded. Subei called Helena and Eve. He promised to give them the blood spirit fruit for research, but naturally he could not break his promise. When Helena and Eve came over, their eyes lit up, and they hugged Subei's arms from left to right, smiling like flowers. Coming to this island is very lucky. Not only have new abilities been mastered, but also the blood spirit fruit can be used for research. When they were in the Alpine Elf territory, they didn't have this kind of treatment. Subei asked, "How many do you want?" Helena and Eve said in unison, 2. Subei nodded, 2 per person. Is that enough? Enough, quite enough. Okay, since you have said enough, let's do this first. Anyway, the follow-up will result, so you don't have to wait too long. Helena and Eve took 2 blood spirit fruits and left with a big smile, ready to start new research. Several of their topics have been stuck for a long time, but the key material such as the blood spirit fruit is lacking. After Helena and Eve left, Subei asked Zhuan Menyu to put away half of the remaining 12 blood spirit fruits and put them away in the villa. With this transaction, and the one as a security deposit, Subei is going to take out 7 blood spirit fruits. The quantity is not too much, it is just right. The remaining 6 are used as emergency items. Subei is going to go to the mermaid territory later. The blood spirit fruit can be used as a greeting gift. After all, a mermaid patrol was abducted, and Subei was still a little empty in his heart. In case the mermaid queen was furious, looking at the face of the blood spirit fruit, she should not slap him to death. As for the threat of the dark-tide merlix, Subei felt that the mermaid family could endure it. They have been in the island world for tens of thousands of years, and if they can't bear the wind and waves, they are not a strong family. So after Subei repelled the dark-tide merlix, he did not rush to move on, but stopped the island. On the one hand, it is to digest the gains from the battle. On the other hand, it is also necessary to complete the transaction. When going to the mermaid territory, as long as there is a medium-sized energy cannon, The situation is completely different. While thinking about it, Shen Qingling sent a message again. I have already arrived at the headquarters, and the island owners are about to arrive. Su Bei replied, okay, I'll come right away. After thinking about it, Su Bei called Gabriel and started teleporting together. The energy stone required for casting a medium-sized energy cannon is extremely demanding. Su Bei is not a caster and doesn't understand the twists and turns here. But Gabriel knew that with him, there was no need to worry about misunderstanding. In this transaction, the special team can only ensure safety. As for the problems that may arise in the transaction, such as misunderstanding and the like, the special team does not care. When Gabriel heard that he was going to check the power stone, he immediately threw the hammer to his disciple, and came excitedly. Then, the two were enveloped in teleportation light. His vision was restored again, and he had come to a new island. Looking around, Su Bei was immediately struck by its grandeur. He is a high platform here, with a vision bonus. Even so, the island at the foot is still invisible. In the distance, the outlines of other islands can be vaguely seen. A crisp female voice sounded from the side. That is the satellite island of the headquarters, transformed into a fortress to defend against foreign enemies. Turning to look, it was a tall and slender woman with a smile on her face. Compared with Helena and Yvette, the appearance is not much better. Su Bei smiled, stretched out his hand and said, Islander Shen, seeing is better than hearing 100 times. It is indeed radiant. Shen Qingling pushed the gold wire glasses on the bridge of his nose, shook hands with Su Bei, and said with a small smile, Islander Su is very polite, but I really didn't expect you to be a silver intermediate. You are indeed young and promising. Su Bei smiled without saying a word. After a few greetings, Shen Qingling said, the others have already arrived. Let's go over. Okay. Su Bei nodded. Island Master Lao Shen will lead the way. Shen Qingling stepped forward. Su Bei and Gabriel followed. Shen Qingling doesn't seem to be here for the first time. He is very familiar with this place and keeps introducing him to Su Bei on the way. But only the general situation. Su Bei didn't mind either. He wasn't here to spy on the situation. I have to say that the Special Task Force is worthy of being the top institution in the Dragon Kingdom. The headquarters built by this headquarters is magnificent. The building surface is piled with white jade. This thing is precious in Blue Star, and it is a low-level material that no one wants in the island world. Ask for flowers. The energy contained in it is small, and it is brittle, which is not welcome at all. But Su Bei was keenly aware. Covered by white jade, the main bodies of these buildings are constructed of high-grade metals. Shen Qingling said, the building frame is made of constant gold, which can also be regarded as a method of material storage. Su Bei was speechless. Indeed, when it is really needed, the house can be directly demolished and the constant gold inside can be used. But here is the headquarters of the Special Task Force, and there are countless strong people. At that point, the situation is quite bad. I am afraid that the entire Blue Star is on the brink of destruction. Throwing the bad thoughts out of his head, Su Bei moved on. There are staff walking by on the road, and they will greet Su Bei and Shen Qingling after seeing them. Even in the headquarters of the Special Task Force, the island owner is very respected. Before arriving at a magnificent building, Shen Qingling stopped and said, it's here. As soon as the voice fell, several people walked out of the building and led the three straight to the living room. It is said to be a living room, but the area is so large that it can be used as an opera house. In the middle of the living room, there was a round table, and several island owners with deep breaths were sitting, and their faces were a little old. Thinking about it, they want to buy the blood spirit fruit. According to Su Bei's perception, although these island owners are of high level, their condition is very poor, and their lifespans are running out. Their desire for the blood spirit fruit is very strong, which will help Su Bei gain more bargaining chips. The few middle-aged men next to him were supposed to be members of the Special Affairs team. Although he deliberately suppressed the energy fluctuations, he could still feel the transcendent aura of a strong man. Their level is definitely above the gold level. As soon as the three of Su Bei came in, they were immediately stared at by several people present. Su Bei calmly walked to the round table, pulled out the chair, sat down, and said, "Junior is late, please forgive me. He is the youngest, which is due courtesy." Several island owners did not answer, just waved their hands. The representative of the Special Task Force spoke up. "Now that you're all here, let's get started." As expected of a Special Task Force, the deterrent force is still very strong. Tsubei's keen discovery. If it weren't for the headquarters of the Special Task Force, it might even be possible to snatch it directly. The opportunity to increase their lifespan was in front of them, and they couldn't sit still. As soon as the voice fell, a transparent cover slowly rose from the center of the round table. Inside the hood, there was a bright red blood spirit fruit. The breathing of several senior island owners became a little short. Tsubei nodded secretly. The eyes of the representatives of the Special Affairs team were like electricity, and the island owners immediately relaxed and leaned on the backs of their chairs. Advertisement Chapter 191 Negotiations. There were 3 representatives of the Special Affairs team. The middle one stood up and introduced himself. "Everyone, the representative of the Special Affairs team, Suo Ren. These 2 are my colleagues, Wang Nen and Zan Wakai. This transaction will be hosted by us. Please also bear in mind that this is the headquarters of the Special Task Force. 55 and everyone is the owner of the Dragon Country. Don't hurt your peace. If someone is obsessed, even if they go against the special team, I don't want to say more about the consequences." After saying a few words, Suo Ren sat back in the chair and continued, "This blood spirit fruit has been verified by us and its efficacy has been confirmed. Direct consumption can increase the lifespan by 3 to 10 years, and at the same time improve basic attributes, which can take effect up to 3 times. This is exactly the same as the data provided by Island Master Su. Speaking of this, Suo Ren looked at Tsubei and cupped his hands. Master Su is a real person." Tsubei bowed his hands in return and smiled. "Sir Suo is very polite." 35 Then, Soren looked at the island owners on the opposite side. "Everyone, blood spirit fruit and high-quality energy stone are scarce materials, and the number of transactions is not many 6, 7, so I can't give a reference suggestion. The specific price, please also ask UL. By the way, Island Master Su, this time you are going to shoot a few blood spirit fruits, and you won't be the only one." Tsubei put the box he brought over on the table and opened it directly. The 6 blood spirit fruits were neatly placed on the black cloth, making them more agile. Gudon. A senior island owner quietly swallowed his saliva, and his eager eyes were not concealed at all. As long as you eat 3 blood spirit fruits, you can increase your lifespan by at least 9 years. 9 years. If you go back and adjust carefully, it is possible to live for more than 10 years. The atmosphere in the meeting room was a little tense again. However, the island owners still remembered what Soren said before, and did not dare to act trashly. The most important thing is that in their current state, they can't beat the 3 representatives of the Special Affairs team. Suo Ren. Why bother to humiliate yourself? The young man wants a power stone, just give it. So calm down quickly. Soren was also a little stunned. He didn't expect that Tsubei was so arrogant, and took 7 blood spirit fruits directly. The output of this thing, he knows. Very low. Even with the blessing of the magic field, the number of hands that can be formed each time is considered an extraordinary performance. And Tsubei just became a trainee island owner this year, and he even started to produce blood spirit fruit. What a magic trick. Outrageous. Suo Ren took a deep look at Tsubei, and then said, "A few of you have seen it too." Island Master Su came with sincerity. "As seniors, we can't bully the juniors. Now, please bid." 35 Tsubei looked at Soren. The representative of the Special Task Force was more inclined to him in his words. Shin Kingeling sent Tsubei a friend message, "You are young and have great potential." Tsubei nodded secretly. If he is a special team, it is estimated that he will make the same choice. While thinking about it, among the 4 senior island masters on the opposite side, the one on the left said, "I want 4 for a medium-sized energy stone for 2 blood spirit fruits." Before he finished speaking, the island owner next to him sneered, Islander Lee is a little bit too underestimated by the blood spirit fruit. You can find the energy stone again, but if you die, you will have nothing. I don't ask much, just 3. The blood spirit fruit produces 2 energy stones. 99. This sentence makes perfect sense. Looking around the entire island world, there are not many items that can increase lifespan. And all of these things have something in common. There is a limit on the number of times it can be used. In addition, the source of blood spirit fruit is very scarce. Judging from the existing data, this thing can only be opened from the treasure chest in the island world. There are not many gold-level treasure chests, and the items that can be obtained are all kinds of strange. The probability of obtaining a blood spirit fruit is extremely low, let alone a seed. Moreover, the output of this thing is extremely low. The island owner who has the blood spirit fruit is not enough for himself and his subordinates, and he rarely sells it. Is the real priceless market. The price of Island Master Lee is obviously not sincere enough. But he was only making a tentative bid. 7 blood spirit fruit, 4 Island Master points, is completely insufficient. Now, it's time to compete for financial resources. While Sube was thinking about it, the 3rd senior island owner said very simply, 2 medium-sized power stones, plus 5 small ones, for 3 blood spirit fruits. Prices went up again. But it's clearly not the limit yet. The 4th island owner, who also looked the oldest, said in a hoarse voice, 3 medium-sized power stones. Sube cast a respectful look. For the island owner who made such a big move, he must be respected. At the beginning, the expression of Island Master Lee changed for a long time, gritted his teeth, and made another bid, 3 plus 2. The 2nd island owner resolutely followed up, Islander Lee is more aggressive, don't be so stubborn, 3 plus 5. 5 Sue. Bay pondered whether the two had a holiday, and they did not forget to say a few words when bidding. The 3rd island owner bid, 3 plus 7. Then it was directly suppressed by the 4th island owner, 4 pieces. Hiss. Sue. Bay was a little shocked. The eyes looking at the blood spirit fruit have changed. He even wanted Juan Minayu to pass on the 6 blood spirit fruits on the island. This stuff is so valuable. But Sue Bay finally gave up the idea. When he took out 7 blood spirit fruits, other people present felt that he needed energy stones, and took out all the output. But taking another 6 blood spirit fruits, the situation changed. It was not Subei's intention to cause unnecessary trouble at that time. Besides Subei, Gabriel was too shocked to speak. These people are so rich. Even in his clan, medium-sized power stones are not so good. Even if there is inventory, it is a strategic material and will not be used easily. As a result, after a few words here, they bid 4 energy stones. And it was only exchanged for 3 blood spirit fruits. If all 7 were sold. Gabriel suddenly felt the need to bring another message back to the tribe and called his eldest brother and 2nd brother over. It's a pleasure to come to the island to forge energy cannons while still making some iron in the tribe. Just when Island Master Lee was about to make another bid, Suo Ren raised his hand to signal that he had something to say. The crowd looked over. Suo Ren said sternly, "Everyone, it's not that I don't trust you, it's that Island Lord Su has put all the blood spirit fruits here. Should you bring 2 samples over and let the dwarf master test it? Fair trade." After finishing speaking, Soren looked at Gabriel. Presumably the master is very clear that the specification of the power stone is one aspect, and the purity is also a very important indicator. Gabriel nodded. When it comes to professional knowledge, he came to the spirit, got up and said, "Your Excellency, Soren is right. It is true that you can't just look at the quantity, but also keep up with the quality." Subei gave Soren a thankful look, and Soren returned a gentle smile. The 4 island owners thought for a moment and agreed with this proposal. But he was muttering in his heart, "What is the origin of this young man, so that the special affairs team pays so much attention?" They stayed on the island for too long, and some news was lost. It seems that they should pay more attention to the outside world. Although there are many ideas, the actions of the 4 senior island owners are not slow. Each asked his subordinates to send 2 energy stones over and put them on the mats sent by the special affairs team. 8 medium-sized energy stones are put together, and the fluctuations of energy 2.5 are very strong. Even the two yang stones that Su Bei knocked down from the wolf god statue before were completely incomparable with these medium-sized power stones. In terms of properties, it is more complicated. Fire, air, water, earth, and ice. 8 energy stones, stunned to come up with 5 attributes. Soren bowed his hands to Gabriel. Please. Gabriel put on a serious look and stepped forward to check. While watching, I commented, this piece of air has fine cracks, and additional stabilizers need to be added to the material, which will increase the cost and reduce the number of shelling by about 10%. This fire element is very pure, but the energy intensity is almost meaningless. If it is not big, it is not a medium-sized energy stone. 35 This piece of ice is of the highest quality, and the one next to it is almost there. This piece of soil is not good, it is doped with dark attribute energy, it was collected from the enchanted island, it is a bit late. 35 The expressions of the 4 senior island masters were very calm, but they sent new energy stones from their subordinates to replace the defective ones. Advertisement Chapter 192 The value of life. The new power stones were in place, and after Gabriel checked them, they were all rated as qualified. It is absolutely sufficient for casting energy cannons. Su Bei felt emotional. It was a wise decision to bring Gabriel here. In addition, according to Gabriel's whispered report, Su Bei also found something very interesting. The island master Li was the most cunning, and the 2 samples he gave had problems. But now the expression is calm and natural, and there is no flaw at all. The eldest island owner obviously came with sincerity. The 2 energy stones were pure and flawless and of extremely high quality, so Gabriel praised them. This is understandable. After all, his breath was the weakest. The other 3 can persist, but this one probably won T. Su Bei even suspects that the island owner can survive until next year because his body is strong. Shen Qingling secretly sent a message. The island owner, surnamed Zhao, was the first to enter the island world to explore, and later in the battle, there were hidden dangers, and it is not easy to persist until now. Su Bei was instantly in awe. It turned out to be a pioneer 100 years ago. It was their hard work that made the many rules of the island world known to the humans of the Blue Star. Strictly speaking, Su Bei also accepted each other's love. Su Bei cast an admiring look. The island owner surnamed Zhao was very calm, just smiled. At this stage of him, everything is fake, and only surviving is the only pursuit. If 9 years of life can be added, there is hope for another. Therefore, this time, he is determined to obtain the blood spirit fruit. Even if the power stone inventory is emptied, he will not hesitate. The scene returned to calm, and Island Lord Li said, Island Lord Su is young and promising, and I don't know if there is a marriage. 66. 99 Su Bei didn't know how to answer. Guys, is this ready to start going the other way? Fortunately, Soren coughed twice in time and said, today we only talk about business and nothing else. 33 Su Bei nodded in agreement. I understand the kindness of Island Master Li, but I am now focusing on my career and I have no consideration for this aspect for the time being. Island Master Li is very sorry. He really wanted to hook up with Su Bei. The potential of this young man is worth investing in. The second island owner said, Old Li, we have known each other for so many years, but you still have this temper. I will continue to bid. 4 + 2. The island owner next to him was expressionless. 4 + 5. 39 The last island master said slowly, $6. Shit. Su Bei was startled. You are too old to increase the price and play cards according to the routine. You were the first to get the 4 medium-sized energy stones, and others followed to add small-sized energy stones, and you directly added medium-sized energy stones. Moreover, he skipped 5 directly, and mentioned 6 medium-sized energy stones in one breath. Su Bei observed secretly and found that the expressions of the other 3 island owners were all stiff. At this price, it is true that some of them can't stand it. But thinking that the blood spirit fruit is a rare thing, and their lifespan is limited, they can only follow up. Su Bei sent a message to Shen Qingling, where did you find these 4 island owners? It's really suitable. Shen Qingling replied, Actually, there are still many island owners who want to come, but they couldn't come up with a medium-sized energy stone, so they were declined by us. Tsubei nodded. It seems that the market for blood spirit fruit is very broad, and there is a chance to cut a few more leaks. Tsubei even suspected that if the blood spirit fruit had not been used for a limited number of times, that Zhao Island Master would have taken out a large energy stone and bought the blood spirit fruit in one go. What is the wealth of the enemy country? This is. While thinking about it, Island Master Li rolled his eyes and said, "Three brothers, I have a suggestion. Let's fight like this. When will we be the best? Why don't we exchange one blood spirit fruit for 2 pieces of medium-sized energy at the current price stone? As for the distribution of the blood spirit fruit, it will also come as needed. My grandson and I can still stand it, so we will take 1 first. Mr. Zhao will take 3, and the remaining 2 will be given to this old brother. What do you guys think?" 9. This proposal obviously made the other 3 island owners extremely moved. Even the richest island master Zhao felt very suitable. No matter how rich he is, it is not caused by strong winds. It is still necessary to save if he can. However, Island Master Zhao also knew that this proposal harmed Subei's interests. If this young man directly flipped the table and took back the blood spirit fruit, what was the point of their agreement? Directly made the bamboo basket to draw water. The other 3 island owners can still hold on, but he can't hold on. So Island Lord Zhao did not agree to the proposal, but said, "I want to hear Island Lord Su's opinion." 35. Now, the pressure is on Subei's side. Soren and the other 3 representatives stayed put, but as soon as Subei said to cancel the deal, they would immediately come out to stabilize the situation. This is the star of hope that the special team is most looking forward to, so nothing can happen here. Subei pondered for a moment, then said, "I'm not a greedy person either. If all of you agree with Island Master Li's blood spirit fruit distribution plan, then I don't have any objection, and it can be regarded as my respect to the seniors." Before the 4 island owners could show their joy, they heard Subei continue, "Well, let's have a good luck. For each blood spirit fruit, exchange 2 medium-sized power stones and 2 small power stones." Island Master Zhao immediately said, "I agree." The other 3 island masters looked at each other and suddenly felt that they had fallen into a pit. "Brother Zhao, is it because this kid invited me to entrust you? But it's not right. Lao's life is about to end, they all know that." After knowing the news of the blood spirit fruit, he is also the most positive. It should be unrealistic to ask him to be a trustee. 2 medium-sized energy stones can also be taken out. In contrast, the small power stone used as a lucky head is not worth mentioning at all, and it is not a problem to give 2 more. Soren stood up and said, "Should I congratulate you in advance for returning home satisfied?" The 4 senior island owners let out good-natured laughter. For Subei, the price of the 2 medium-sized power stones had already exceeded his expectations. The psychological price is 1 for 1 or even 2 for 1. He still underestimated the appeal of the blood spirit fruit. Or, he underestimated the dying people's fear of death. Anyway, the result is good. 7 blood spirit fruits were exchanged for 14 medium-sized energy stones and 14 small-sized energy stones. This harvest made Subei rich. When all of them are cast into energy cannons, let alone dark-tide merlix. Even a stronger dark race like Naga will be sent to the sky. Now that an agreement has been reached, the next step is to pay for the 680 goods in one hand. The 4 island masters contacted their subordinates and placed the energy stone on the mat. Gabriel took a few deep breaths, stabilized his mind, and then stepped forward to check. The thought of calling the eldest brother and the second brother became stronger. There is no future in striking iron in a dwarven clan. There are too many masters there, and they can't be ranked at all. So it is better to come to Subei. These power stones are just the beginning. In the future, this excellency will definitely get large power stones. The only thing they need to worry about is whether their strength can keep up. But when the large energy stone arrives, you can only stare blankly. Gabriel calmed down, checked all the power stones, and then returned to report, "Islander, no problem. 14 medium-sized power stones, as before, have a total of 5 attributes. Among them, The most is the soil element. There are 6 pieces, all of which are provided by Zhao Island Master. The rest, ice, water, fire, and wind, have 2 of each of the 4 attributes. Before he could stand firm, news of Zhao Xuanhao, the island master Zhao, came. The other 3 island owners said the same thing. The same is true for the classification of small power stones. Just as he was about to leave after speaking, Island Master Zhao said, "Island Master Su, add a friend and keep in touch in the future." Su Bei did not refuse. Putting all the power stones into the magic stone box, Su Bei looked at everyone, cupped his hands and said, "Everyone, see you by fate." Then, Su Bei teleported back to the island. These 4 island owners have a lot of resources, and they may come in handy when they will. Island Master Su, I have a great-granddaughter who is incompetent. I hope I can go to your company to practice and learn. Advertisement. Chapter 193, Submission. Zhao Xuanhao's words made Su Bei almost overwhelmed. Is this all common practice now? But anyway, I just took 6 medium-sized energy stones from Zhao Xuanhao, so I still have to give face. And it can be exchanged for other materials in the future. Su Bei felt that he could not refuse directly, and replied, "Since Island Master Zhao has spoken, the junior will definitely agree, and I will inform the people below." Zhao Xuanhao, there is the owner of Laosu Island, but I still have an unkind request, and I hope the islander of Su can agree. If it was another island owner, Su Bei would have been blocked long ago. It's not over yet. However, Zhao Xuanhao is different. He not only has a lot of resources. The key is that he has been in the island world long enough and knows many secrets, which is what Su Bei values most. Collecting his thoughts, Su Bei replied, "Island Master Zhao, but it doesn't matter." 99 Zhao Xuanhao, if Island Master Su still has 1 or 2 blood spirit fruits in his hand, I don't know if I can give it to me. Don't worry, I will never let you suffer. This time Island Master Su has harvested with so many power stones, I am afraid that the casting materials will be lacking. I happen to have a batch of meteorite iron here. This problem, Su Bei is trying to solve. The amount of meteorite iron he had harvested before was limited, not even enough to cast all 14 small energy stones into energy cannons. Not to mention a medium-sized power stone. Originally, Su Bei wanted Shen Qingling to contact other senior island owners and exchange the blood spirit fruit for some meteorite iron. There are many island owners who are interested in the blood spirit fruit, and they are not afraid that no one wants it. But now that Zhao Xuanhao mentioned it, he could give him 2 more. As for how Xuanhao uses it, that's his business. Su Bei doesn't want to worry about it. The blood spirit fruit is not the only one in this batch. The most important thing is to exchange the materials needed for development. Collecting his thoughts, Su Bei replied decisively, "If there is, Island Master Zhao is prepared to bid how much." Seeing this sentence, Zhao Xuanhao on the other end immediately confirmed that his guess was correct, that the young man named Su Bei still had a blood spirit fruit in his hand. In fact, Zhao Xuanhao had already guessed so when Su Bei agreed to the distribution plan. If there are only so many blood spirit fruits in total, Su Bei will definitely not agree, and he must strive for maximum profit. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Zhao Xuanhao replied, "Money is something outside the body. It's best for me to make friends with heroes in my life. Island Master Su is young and promising, which is admirable." Zhao Xuanhao, well, I have all the materials for the 14 medium-sized energy cannons. Su Bei, Island Zhao's atmosphere. Su Bei felt that it was necessary for him to know more about the top rich and broaden his horizons. These top island owners have too many resources on their hands. 14 medium-sized energy cannons required nearly 100 tons of meteorite iron, and the value was so high that most people could not imagine it. As a result, the island owner of Zhao Xuanhao was rounded up when he came up. Zhao Xuanhao was so honest, Su Bei felt that he couldn't be too stingy, and then replied, "When I was counting the supplies just now, I found that there were 3 blood spirit fruits in the corner. Since Island Master Zhao likes these things, then take them all." Zhao Xuanhao, I have made a deal with the friend of Island Master Su. While speaking, the 2 of them placed supplies on the trading column, and then confirmed. A full 100 tons of meteorite iron are still finished products smelted into cylinders. The specifications are neat and uniform, and it makes people feel happy to watch. Seeing so much meteorite iron, Gabriel almost fainted with excitement, grabbed Subei's arm, and said eagerly, "Island owner, I want to send a message to the clan, and call my eldest brother and second brother. I do not know the island, whether the Lord agrees." 55 How could Subei disagree? He was still worried about when so many energy stones would be cast, but now Gabriel offered to shake people, which was exactly what Subei wanted. Gabriel's eldest brother and second brother, not much to say. There must be a gold level. The three dwarf masters gathered together to increase the speed of his island's development to a new level. Moreover, those two must also have their own disciples and students who brought them together, and dozens of dwarf craftsmen. Subei suddenly felt that he could start the equipment business. So many dwarves, how much equipment can be produced? The 3 square kilometers of land sent by the Dark Tide Merlix was just used to build a super large forging workshop. Subei immediately said, "Gabriel, please handle what you want to convey, and I will find someone to contact me." Gabriel nodded again, and excitedly went back to prepare the note. Before Subei could sit down and take a sip, Juan Minayu came from a distance and said quickly, "Island owner, Your Excellency Lulu is asking for an interview. He just went out and brought back some mermaid refugees, who are waiting for you on the shore." Meet. This was unexpected. Subei asked, "What is the specific situation?" Juan Minayu replied, "That's right. Didn't you go to the headquarters of the Special Affairs team before? We are here to clear the battlefield." Later, Lord Lulu seemed to have received information from other mermen, so he went to check and then came back. There were more mermaids at the time, saying that they were survivors of other tribes, hoping to get your shelter. Subei nodded, probably knowing why. The Dark Tide Merlix rioted, and the creatures in the nearby waters were the first to bear the brunt, not only fish, shrimps, turtles, and crabs, but also aborigines like mermen. They are not the opponents of the Dark Tide Merlix, and they suffered heavy losses. In the few battles Subei fought here, the Dark Tide Merlix suffered heavy losses, and even 4 gold-level powerhouses died. Those mermen who are hiding in the dark must be watching. These merpeople desperately need a habitat before the Undertide Merlix have completely receded. What could be more appropriate than Subei's island? In fact, if it is possible, the merman probably wants to go to the mermaid territory. But now in the past, it was pure death. All around the mermaid territory are Dark Tide Merlix. Taking a step back, even if the merman could pass through the layers of interception, what would happen? Mermaids are very arrogant and look down on mermaids. The merman has always been a vassal of the mermaid family. And when their tribe was overrun by the Dark Tide Merlix, they didn't see the mermaid coming out to preside over justice. In this case, it is better to find another bright master. Subei walked quickly to the beach, and saw Lulu and the merman behind him, more than 20. All of them looked a little miserable, obviously being tossed enough by the Dark Tide merman. "My lord," Lulu stepped forward and saluted, with a somewhat embarrassed expression, "my subordinates make decisions without authorization, and I also ask the island lord to punish." Subei waved his hand and said, "I can understand that you don't want to see your tribe continue to suffer." Afterwards, Subei looked at the mermaid on the sea, and said loudly, "Since you're here, I think you are ready." Among the mermaids, a representative stepped forward and replied loudly, "Wang Qians, we are willing to swear our loyalty under the witness of the mountain spirits. If we violate it, all ethnic groups will be punished." After confirming that none of these sharks were corroded by demonic energy, Subei asked Lulu to take him to the second artificial lake. Helena and Eve were then called to watch the ceremony. In this way, there were more than 20 mermen under Subei's command, and the underwater defense strength was once again improved. And the allegiance of these mermaids is only the beginning. Subei directly sent it to Shen Qingling, and then waited with peace of mind. This is much more efficient than Subei's fixed entries one by one. However, the necessary precautions are still required. In this sea area, there are other mermen who have been displaced, and some of them will come to seek refuge after they receive the news. Tsubei asked the spirit of the island to monitor every move of these sharks, and if there were any problems, they would kill them directly. It is difficult for them to fight the dark-tide Murlocs directly, but they are all good at playing harpoons. After dealing with the merman, Gabriel also prepared the note. In the previous battle, the merman played brilliantly in the underwater bastion. Advertisement Chapter 194 Design Drawings. After the sharks were settled, Tsubei wandered around the island, refreshing the second entry for many special plans. Then turned back. I don't know if I ran out of luck with the indestructible holy body before. The entries that have appeared in the past few days are the highest level of excellence. If it was before, then Tsubei will definitely be fixed and improve his strength. But now, Tsubei's mind has changed. Must strive for excellence. After rapid development, it is necessary to pursue high-quality development. He has asked the system, and if you want to fix the third entry, you need to be promoted to the platinum level, which is a bit far away. The quality of the second entry is very important. Tsubei is not in a hurry now. If he can't write a good entry, he will go back to Blue Star to shake people. The newly obtained small power stone has begun to cast the corresponding gun barrel, and the previous 2 Yang guns are also about to be completed. After all, there will be 16 energy cannons waiting for the gunner to take their place. There are also abilities, and they need to continue to increase. The gap is huge. At least another 50 or 60 people must be added. I wandered around the island, but did not find a suitable entry. Tsubei decisively brought Juan Minayu back to Blue Star and brought back 10 people again. He is now a silver intermediate with 13 fixed chances a day. 3 times left, save as a spare. Returning to the island, Tsubei thought about what to do today. It will take time for Shen Qingling to contact the dwarf, and it is estimated that there will be news in the evening or tomorrow morning. On the 680 island, the battlefield has been cleared. The worthless parts are directly thrown back into the sea, and the useful ones are sorted and placed. The alchemy room, the forging workshop, the Blue Star Company, and Eve's magic pattern drawing room. These places can use the parts of the dark-tide Murloc. The dark-tide Murlocs that piled up into mountains were quickly divided. Not even enough. Tsubei was also helpless. The dark-tide Murlocs were driven away, unless they took the initiative to find them. Otherwise, the dark-tide Murlocs should not come in the past few days. And Tsubei doesn't plan to move forward these days. Wait until the new small energy cannon is cast. In this way, Tsubei suddenly found that he was idle again. This will not work. But Tsubei soon found something new to do. He also has 4 pieces of the enchanted island coordinate jade, 2 bronze level and 2 silver level pieces. Taking advantage of the fact that the battle has come to an end for the time being, we should quickly explore it, so as to save the time when the battle starts, and there will be no effort. Tsubei is going to explore the 2 bronze level ones today, and prepare them tomorrow, and then bring Helena, Eve, and Gabriel to explore the silver level ones. There is no doubt that a silver level coordinate jade will inevitably encounter a gold level enemy. Calling more, Yvette and others, Tsubei directly crushed the coordinate jade, BHCF. This enchanted island is the territory of the iron-headed orangutan. Tsubei brought Muir up, and he was slaughtered. After a quarter of an hour, the battle was over, and then he called the Earth Spirit over and started the recovery work. This recycling. But there are additional gains. The 3 golden rainbow banana trees of middle-grade silver are all a few years old and are growing very vigorously. Under the wide leaves, there are green bananas, which will soon be ripe for picking. Tsubei refreshes directly. The highest level of excellence entry, water gathering, excellent grade, enables the golden rainbow banana to have the effect of awakening the sea level water type ability, and the item level is upgraded to the lower gold level. After all, it was also promoted to the bottom gold level, and Tsubei simply settled down. The main reason is that once these 3 golden rainbow banana trees are transferred to the magic field, they will mature in a very short time. Refresh other entries, some are too late. The gold low level is enough, and the second entry of the epic level is enough to improve the quality again. In addition, the remaining bronze and black iron plants are of reasonable value, and the number is not large. I think it was given to Huo by the iron-headed gorilla. After transferring the plants, the earth spirit and the younger brothers began to transfer the soil. Subei's island, now the biggest limitation, is not the number of inhabitants, nor the number of plants, but the area. Although there is 15 square kilometers of land, it has been properly planned and needs to be expanded. To this end, Subei found Shen Qingling and bought a lot of recruitment scrolls in one go. 30 pieces of earth spirit, wind spirit, water spirit, fire spirit, and bronze quality all came. The amount of the transaction was so large that Shen Qingling was speechless. The addition of 100 multi-element creatures made the spirit of the island extremely happy. These are her little brothers. The earth spirit rushed into the transmission channel mightily. Subsequently, a large amount of soil was transferred back to the island, and the edge area began to expand and expand. 4 hours later, the teleportation channel disappeared. As for the island of Subei, with the efforts of many soil spirits, it has successfully increased the area of 1 square kilometer, and has achieved a lot. After that, Subei did not stop and opened a coordinate jade ultimatum again. This island is the foothold of the two-headed sea lizard. Like the previous 2 lizard islands, it was bare and devoid of any plants. Subei's nose crooked with anger. Aren't these lizards too omnivorous? Eating a tree is fine. There is no need to eat a piece of soil. This expedition eventually brought back countless rock fragments that reinforce the underwater part of the island. Can't say no. But compared with the previous 4 bronze-level enchanted islands, it is undoubtedly a lot worse. The only good thing is that there are a lot of two-headed lizards on the island, and the level is not low. There are more than a dozen silver level ones. It's just that they were slashed by Subei twice before they had time to show off their might. Mer carried the iron rod in silence. It is not very good to have a boss who is too strong, and there is no chance to play at all. Moore finally rushed to the silver rank and was qualified to be a fighter. As a result, under Subei's command, he had no chance to make a shot. The most enjoyable fight recently was when the Darktide Murlocs attacked. The Darktide Murlocs all over the mountains and plains made Moore very happy. It's a pity that after the 3 gold-level powerhouses were killed, the Darktide Murlocs temporarily admitted their council and did not come. Moore struggled for a moment and began to carry the corpse of the two-headed sea lizard. Forget it. Feel free to be a logistician. After exploring the 2 enchanted islands, 8 hours passed. It was getting late, and Subei didn't want to work the night shift, so he decided to take a rest. While resting, Juan Menaiu said, "Island owner, there are more and more members on the island now. Although a temporary residence has been built, it is still a bit inconvenient. It is better to flatten the villa and build a new building complex." 99. With that said, Juan Menaiu took a stack of design drawings from the bedside table and introduced, "This is a design company I specially found, and they have provided solutions to many island owners." Subei doesn't have much requirements for where he lives, but since Juan Menaiu mentioned it, he can take a look. After just flipping 2 pages, Subei realized something was wrong. "How does this design look like a palace?" Subei slapped her and replied angrily, "I'm fine." This said, Du Ling must be taught a lesson and let her know the rules. Then kindly reminded, "Pay attention to your body." After pondering for a moment, Subei said, "Since Menaiu mentioned it, just come as you wish. I think this is also a mature design plan." Du Ling chuckled lightly, "That's for sure. I guess the island owner is happy." Juan Menaiu smiled and said, "I knew the island owner would agree." Du Ling lay beside her and watched for a while, then smiled, "Islander, this is the rhythm that makes you 3 palaces and 6 courtyards." Subei was angry. Advertisement Chapter 195, Explore the Silver Level Magical Island. As soon as he woke up the next day, Shen Qingling sent a message. There were dozens of dwarves warming up, ready to teleport, to get Subei ready. Subei immediately rushed out of the room and went straight to the forge. At this time, Gabriel had already called out many disciples to strike. Seeing Subei coming, he immediately rubbed his hands together and said excitedly, "Island Lord, is there news from the tribe?" Subei nodded and said with a smile, "It seems that what you brought back will be very useful. There are quite a lot of people here this time." But this is normal. If Gabriel's eldest brother and second brother came, their disciples and students would basically follow. There are at least 40 dwarves. While speaking, a large number of dwarves sent over. A little more than Sube expected, 59 in full, almost 60. The two dwarves headed by them are 7 points similar to Gabriel, and they also have intermediate level gold strength. While thinking about it, Gabriel said happily, "Big brother and second brother, you are here." Afterwards, Gabriel introduced each other. Gabriel's eldest brother is named Gaten, and his second brother is named Saul. The two dwarves came here because they received a message from Gabriel, saying that the medium-sized energy cannons here were too late to be cast. But it got them excited. When they were in the tribe, they could also cast small energy cannons. If you want to participate in the casting of medium-sized energy cannons, you have to wait for several months. After all, there are too many masters, so you have to queue up. The dwarf elder brother Gaten asked, "Gabriel, where is the power stone?" Gabriel was already prepared. He opened the box next to him, and a huge earth energy stone was placed in it. The rich energy made the surrounding open space seem to become heavy. Gaten rushed over, looked at the power stone obsessively, and murmured, "Such a pure power stone is rarely seen in tribes." Saul nodded in agreement, and then asked, "Gabriel, how many power stones are here? You didn't make it clear in the letter." Gabriel smiled mysteriously and shook his head. "How much, big brother and second brother? You really underestimate the island owner." After speaking, he winked at the disciples. Bang bang bang. More than a dozen boxes were opened one after another, and a total of 14 medium-sized power stones were displayed in front of Gaten and Saul. The two dwarf masters stopped breathing. The disciples behind him even widened their eyes. Are all human island owners so rich? Although the overall wealth of their dwarf tribe is exaggerated, specific to a single dwarf, there are not many resources that can be accessed. Especially low level, can only strike iron. As a result, 14 medium-sized energy stones were placed directly here. Gabriel said proudly, "Well, I didn't lie to you." Gaten let out a long sigh and said, "Gabriel, you did the right thing by telling us this time." Saul was also grinning from ear to ear. Seeing this situation, Sube knew that the two dwarf masters would not be able to drive away. The mood is also quite comfortable. Earthlings act. With the participation of so many dwarves, the previously planned forging workshop was not enough, and a new building was built next to it, and the forging equipment such as the furnace was also ready. When things were over, Gabriel took Gaten and Saul to find Sube, with a mysterious expression. "Islander, can you show off your mysterious ability?" Gabriel said. My two brothers, after seeing Og and Norton, shouted to become stronger. 99 Afterwards, Gabriel whispered, "Islander, you see that I have been on the island for several days, can I also become stronger by the way?" Speaking of this, Sube remembered that he hadn't refreshed the entry for Gabriel today. The luck of the dwarf master also gave Sube a headache. After all, he is also a gold level powerhouse, but he can't get an epic level entry. Outrageous. But it seems that Gabriel's expectation finally moved the system. With a snap, a purple entry appeared in Sube's field of vision. Sube also refreshed Gaten and Saul. Then it became more and more certain. Gabriel's luck is not very good. For the two dwarf masters, Gaten and Saul, epic entries appeared as soon as they were swiped. The contrast is quite obvious. Looking at the three epic level entries, they are completely consistent. Thousands of tempers, epic level, greatly improving forging proficiency. The description is simple, but the effect is powerful. Sube calmed down, put on a high-level demeanor, and said, "Gabriel, are you sure?" 39 Gabriel was stunned for a moment, then ecstatic, nodded and said, "Islander, I'm sure, very sure." Sube's attitude let Gabriel know that he can also acquire that mysterious ability. This is what he has been waiting for days. Gaten and Saul craned their necks, eager to see. But because I just arrived, I was embarrassed to speak. Sube smiled and said, "What about the two masters?" When Gaten and Saul heard that they also had their share, they nodded immediately to indicate that there was no problem. They felt that their forging skills were about to reach the limit, and they were very anxious. Now that I see new hope, I can't sit still. Seeing this situation, Su-bei stopped talking. Fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. The target loyalty has been fixed at 100. In an instant, the three dwarf brothers felt the difference. The forging knowledge they have mastered is fully integrated, and they have new insights. Many doubts in the past have also been solved. It's a miracle! For flowers. The three dwarf masters were shocked and completely convinced. Most of Su-bei's worries were gone, and he felt much more relaxed. Taking advantage of Gaten and the others, they said, "Don't go back yet. I'm going to explore a new enchanted island. The enemy level is a bit high. You help me guard the teleportation channel." "No problem," Gabriel agreed, took off the battle axe behind him, and said excitedly, "I can't wait to join the battle." Su-bei noticed that Gaten and Saul took a few steps back. Apparently, he was tricked by his own brother. However, in this battle, Su-bei did not intend to let Gabriel and the others take action. Gold level only, 2 knives. After getting ready, Su-bei called Helena and Eve, and then crushed the coordinate jade at the edge of the island. A silver level enchanted island can be known just by looking at the specifications of the transmission channel. It is completely different from the bronze black iron. 0 The transmission channel is 10 meters high and 20 meters wide. You can feel the powerful breath on the opposite side of the transmission channel. Everyone else on the island gathered, worried about Su-bei's safety. However, Helena was very calm, and said after a moment of perception, "There are 2 gold levels on the opposite side, 1 intermediate and 1 low level." Being able to know the situation on the other side in advance is undoubtedly an innate advantage. Su-bei clenched the Longian sword tightly and commanded, after 30 seconds, "Come over again." 99 Although he has a low level, his actual combat power is the highest. And the entry of the indestructible sacred body gave Su-bei an unprecedented powerful defense. Even if the 2 gold level opponents attacked at the same time, they would not be able to hurt him. On the other hand, Helena, Gabriel, and the others had more than enough offense and insufficient defense, and would inevitably be injured if they were focused on fire. Although everyone did not want Su-bei to be involved, they could only obey orders. Su-bei passed through the teleportation tunnel and looked around, and his first reaction was that the island was vast. He also sensed the 2 gold levels Helena said. Standing still thousands of meters away. "There is no intention to come." Su-bei ignored it and continued to observe. According to his calculations, the entire island covers an area of more than 10 square kilometers, which is quite impressive. Most importantly, the vegetation is lush. A considerable number of special plants must be recovered. Perhaps there will be a gold class. Thinking of this, Su-bei was full of fighting spirit. 30 seconds later, Helena and the others arrived through the teleportation passage. As soon as he came over, Helena said, "I feel the breath of the dark race. This is probably their forward base." As soon as the voice fell, an energy bomb flew rapidly. Su-bei charged forward with extreme speed and smashed into pieces with 1 knife. And he also found a camp in the distance. At the same time, there are dark soldiers swarming out of the camp. Advertisement Chapter 196 Evil Shadow Werewolf. Su-bei guessed that the Dark Tribe's camp was covered with concealment spells or props. When he first came in, he didn't notice that there was a camp there. It was not until the bombardment of the energy cannon that the whole campsite was revealed. Compared with crazy monsters, the dark race is undoubtedly much more difficult. At least they know tactics. Deliberately held still, and waited until Helena and the others passed through the teleportation channel, and then activated the energy cannon. It was only smashed by Su-bei with a knife, causing no damage. As for the shock of the energy bomb explosion, it hit Su-bei like a tickling. After Su-bei smashed the energy bomb, he rushed forward to the camp, while not forgetting to issue a combat order. "You, defend the passage, don't let the dark race pass by." Before Helena and the others could speak, Su-bei disappeared from sight. Then, extremely exaggerated energy fluctuations erupted in the distance. The screams of the dark race continued one after another. Gabriel put down his battle axe regretfully, and sighed, "I think I'm also a gold intermediate, and I can't even get the chance to make a shot." 99 Helena covered her mouth and chuckled, "Isn't that just right? I wasn't very interested in fighting this kind of thing." Speaking of this, Helena was shocked and said eagerly, "Oh, I forgot to tell the island owner to let him show mercy and leave me some dark people for experiments." 99 The three dwarf brothers moved 2 steps to the side in a tacit understanding. At the same time, he muttered inwardly, "There's something wrong with this sprite." Boom. There was a loud explosion in the distance, and the flames shot into the sky. With a pained expression on his face, Gudrun immediately said, "It's over." The island owner blasted the energy cannon. Sal waved his hand arrogantly. "From the perspective of the explosion, it is just a small energy cannon, and the island owner's net worth will not care." 99 The 5 gold-level powerhouses were chatting here, and Subei was having a great time killing him. The dark tribes in the camp are all werewolves, burly and agile, and their specific race names can be seen from the panel. Evil Shadow Werewolf. The signature skill is Wicked Phantom, which creates an illusion that confuses the enemy and then kills the target unexpectedly. It's just that this trick is useless in front of Subei. Every time he swings the knife, he will cut down the werewolf with the phantom. The evil shadow werewolf was cut to the point of numbness. In an instant, hundreds of werewolves were cut down. The 2 gold-ranked people in the camp couldn't sit still, and their magic power erupted, attacking from left and right. This level of battle, naturally there is no nonsense at all, it is a life-and-death killer move. Although Subei remembered that he had promised Helena before, he would give her some dark race tests. But these 2 gold-level werewolves, with strong strength, definitely cannot stay. Anyway, it's okay to take silver bronze level reagents. Sotan Wu Demon Slayer / directly shot. The attacking evil shadow werewolf looked horrified. Damn it, it turned out to be a demon slayer. Could it be that the forward base here was discovered by the coalition forces, so they sent people to destroy it? But there is no reason. Even if the coalition forces want to act, they will not send humans over. The 2 werewolves thought a lot in an instant. Past experiences appeared before me like a revolving lantern. And then plunged into boundless darkness. As soon as the Tan Wu demon extermination / came out, the 2 werewolves were chopped into 4 pieces on the spot, and all their life breaths were destroyed. The evil shadow werewolf who was charging on the road was stunned. The commander and deputy commander will be hacked to death when they go up. What else is there to beat? But the evil shadow werewolf is stronger than the dark tide murloc. After the 2 gold-level powerhouses were killed, the remaining evil shadow werewolf still did not collapse, but attacked even more frantically with the mentality of seeing death as home. Quite the posture of perishing with Subei. But the idea of the evil shadow werewolf obviously can't work. These dark races, known for their agility, were horrified to discover that they were completely unable to locate Subei. Not to mention launching an effective attack. They could only be chopped to the ground in batches by the gust of wind, and the severed limbs were scattered everywhere. The number of werewolves in the camp was around 1,500. Among them, there are about 200 silver grades, the rest are mostly bronze grades, and black iron grades are only a few. After Subei's slaughter, there were less than 300 who were still standing. Silver, bronze, black iron, and 10 werewolves for each of the 3 ranks were left for Helena to test, and Subei slaughtered all the remaining werewolves in one go. Subei let out a sigh of relief, and was in very good shape, and he didn't even think he was hooked. It is a pity that all the werewolves on the island are already here, and he has cut them down to almost nothing, so he can only give up. After a general inspection of the camp to determine that there were no self-destructing explosive devices, Subei returned to the passage. Guten and Saul did not experience the previous Dark Tide Murloc battle, and did not know Subei's glorious record. At this moment, they saluted and said, "The strength of the island owner makes us admire." Subei smiled and said casually, "This is nothing." 35 Then he said, "You should know the dark race very well. Go with me to see what potential dangers are in the camp, and after eliminating them, you can start recycling." Helena and the others nodded and followed Subei back to the camp again. As Helena guessed before, This is indeed the advanced base of the dark race. A large amount of food and medicine are stored in the warehouse, but they are all infested with demonic energy. If you want to recycle, you must spend a lot of effort on purification. In this regard, Sube was naturally too lazy to toss, and planned to throw all the earth spirits into the sea to feed the fish. In addition, there are various weapons and armors. Workmanship is pretty good. The dark race also has dwarves, a branch called Blackrock dwarves. They are specially responsible for making equipment for other dark races. The three Garden brothers checked for a moment and came to a conclusion. The Blackstone dwarves who made these equipments were not of high level, at most silver level. Sube thought for a moment, then said, "Take these equipment back, I will use them. It is possible to resmelt and recycle, but it is more troublesome and takes up the furnace." Sube thought of another use. When the goblin Clayson arrives next time, he will sell it to him. I don't know what Crescen's expression will be when he sees these equipment. Collecting their thoughts, Sube, Helena and others continued to walk through the camp. But the overall gain is not great. After all, this is just an advanced space, and it seems that a large amount of materials have just been transported away some time ago, which makes it a bit empty. If it weren't for the large number of special plants on the island, Sube felt that this exploration would be a loss. Calling the Earth Spirit over to start recycling materials, Sube came to the high point of the island and looked at the sea in the distance and meditated. This is the advanced base of the dark race, so where is their attack target? In addition to the 1,500 evil shadow werewolves, the entire base still has traces of large troops being transferred. Where have those dark races gone? Helena walked to Sube's side, followed to look at the sea, and said softly, "Is the island owner worried about the dark race?" 55 Sube nodded, "Yes, I'm worried that other dark race troops will arrive or return, and that would be a little troublesome." It is out of this concern that Sube did not let the rest of the island come over. Only he and Helena and others took cover here for 2.5. If there is a situation, at least it will be faster to retreat. Although Helena wanted to say don't worry. But this is the advanced base of the dark race, not an ordinary enchanted island. What Sube was worried about could happen. No more words at the moment, be careful. On the deck, the tall evil shadow werewolf had a solemn expression. When Tuling went to the island to recover the spoils, a warship was rapidly approaching dozens of nautical miles away from the forward base. The werewolf adjutant next to him said, "Master Cheek, the advance base is in front, and you can rest immediately." The werewolf called Chike sniffed the smell in the air and said solemnly, "The forward base is destroyed, there are enemies, and the smell is very annoying." The lieutenant looked bewildered. What did the Lord say so coldly? "All attention, prepare for battle." But the commander had already issued an order, and he, an adjutant, had to obey, and he immediately shouted at the top of his voice. Advertisement: if you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197 Platinum Level Werewolf. When the werewolf battleship approached the enchanted island for 10 nautical miles, Sube stared at the sea in the distance. Helena's expression also became solemn, even a little horrified. The three of Evangedon rushed to Sube's side in an instant, and they were all ready to fight. With their strength, they can perceive the situation in the distance. You can also feel the vast magical aura. That's a platinum level powerhouse. Sube immediately gave an order: you return to the island, aim all the energy cannons at the transmission channel, and once you receive my message, destroy the channel opening, and absolutely cannot let that guy rush to the island. Helena was shocked and asked eagerly, "Islander, what about you?" Sube said solemnly, "Someone must stop him." Helena hurriedly said, "No, although you are powerful, the opponent is platinum rank, which is a rank completely different from gold rank. Why don't we return together and destroy the teleportation channel?" Sube shook his head and said, "It's too late." Just as they were talking, A group of magic power took off from the battleship in the distance, and then rushed towards this forward base. Faster than any enemy Su-Bei has encountered. Go back and prepare, this is the order. 17 With a low voice, Su-Bei clenched the dragon sword and began to charge, riding the waves on the sea. It is impossible for him to wait for the opposite powerhouse to rush all the way to raise his aura to the peak. That would be a big loss at the moment of the fight. You must recoil over and face the opponent head-on. The expressions of the five Helena changed. In the end, Helena gritted her teeth and said, "Go." Eve opened her mouth to say something else. But after seeing the tears in the corners of Helena's eyes, everything understood. The five gold-level powerhouses kept silent and escorted the Earth spirits back to the island. Soon, the island took action, and 10 energy cannons turned their muzzles and aimed at the transmission channel on the beach. Du Ling and others hurriedly turned around, but they also knew that in the past, Su-Bei would only be distracted and could only wait anxiously on the island. Yvette was wiping the trident, but after hearing the news, her eyes went black, and the trident fell to the ground with a crisp sound. How can it be platinum level? Yvette only felt that the world was spinning and almost fainted. Fortunately, Eleanor was quick-witted and reached out to support Yvette. I believe in the island owner. Eleanor's voice was firm. Since I knew the island owner, he has been creating miracles, and this time, he will definitely. 99 Undoubtedly, the sudden appearance of a platinum-level powerhouse made the entire island panic. Og and the other dwarves ran from the forge with a hammer, and were then scolded by the 3 Garten brothers. Your mission is to complete the casting of all the small energy cannons, you know. Gabriel raised his beard and scolded. If our progress is not too slow, why would the island owner risk himself? If we have already built a medium-sized energy cannon, how can we make that platinum-level enemy arrogant? 99 The more he thought about it, the more angry he became, and he gave himself 2 punches. As the eldest of the 3 brothers, Gaten stretched out his hand to stop Gabriel, and said solemnly, "If the island owner is really the one who bears the destiny as you said, then he will be fine." Saul nodded and agreed. Although I haven't been with the island owner for a long time, I have confidence in the island owner. After the initial turmoil, the island maintained its apparent calm. But only on the surface. Everybody knows. The battle at the other end of the teleportation channel will decide the fate of everyone. 2 energies collided fiercely on the sea a few miles away from the advance base, blowing the sea below several meters down. The werewolf chief's voice was a little surprised. "Human, you have obtained the inheritance of the demon slayer." Su-Bei said angrily, "How come each of you, whether it's the aborigines or the dark race, have to say such a thing?" During the conversation, one person and one wolf fought against each other more than a dozen times. Chick grew more and more suspicious. Where did this demon slayer warrior come from? And there is no news at all. The key is, why does this guy use his silver-level strength to fight against his platinum-level strength? Happens to play back and forth. Outrageous. Moreover, the weapons in his hands are of extremely high quality, but they are not produced by dwarves, nor are they known aboriginal craftsmanship, so where did they come from? The more Chick thought about it, the more frightened he became. At the same time, make up your mind. This human island owner must be killed, otherwise it will be a disaster for all the dark races to let him continue to grow. Human, you are very strong, but you will surely die here today. Cheek threatened, and his body swelled further. He turned on the explosive skill, and his attributes were improved. Su-Bei stretched out his hand to add a sharp blade of divine light on the Longian sword, and hurled it out, cutting the sea surface open. On the way to charge just now, he refreshed and fixed the second entry for Longian Dao, indestructible, epic level, greatly improved the firmness, and the item level is upgraded to platinum mid-level. Good luck, it is an epic, and the level of the dragon blade has been upgraded to the platinum middle level. This is how we can deal with this battle. Otherwise, it will be the same as before, and the mouth will collapse. Cheek let out a roar, and his body was like black lightning. Chick didn't finish his sentence. Because he was surprised to find that the attack that could tear Su-Bei's entire arm off was actually cut off by the unknown force, leaving only a few shallow marks in the end. Not even the skin was broken. Even the magic energy attached to the claws was absorbed in an instant, and instead, Subei replenished his physical strength. Chick looked down at his paws. No problem. Are you a human after all? Chick still asked while onslaught. Why is your body stronger than the dragon race, and why are you able to absorb demonic energy without hindrance? At the same time that Subei released the stigmata slash, he replied, "Guess." Chick was so angry that his hair stood up. How dare this human being to humiliate him? Roar. Chick released the evil phantom, and 3 phantoms appeared, together with himself, attacking from 4 directions. The most important thing is that the 4 Cheeks can't tell the true and false from the breath. As expected of a platinum level powerhouse, he was much stronger than the 2 gold level werewolves who had been hacked to death before. But Subei stood still. At the moment when the 4 claws hit, Subei slashed to the left. There is Chick's real body. The other 3 phantoms completed their mission and disappeared. In the face of the sharp blade, Chick could only choose to retreat. If he continues to attack, he may not be able to break the defense, but this knife will definitely impress him. Chick can see that the biggest reliance of this human being in front of him is his unreasonably strong body. Normal attacks don't break defense at all. Even if you use your skills, I'm afraid it will have little effect. Chick never thought that his toughest battle would be against a silver-level human being. If other Dark Clan powerhouses know about this, I am afraid they will laugh out loud. But the battle has begun, and it cannot be stopped unless one side perishes. Silver versus platinum? Even Chick himself, until he met Subei, would not have believed that such a thing existed. Because he not only saw it, but also got into a fight with the other party. No idea of going down at all. But now, Chick is starting to falter. Even dragons can't do it. What a joke. How to say. Advertisement. Chapter 198 captured a battleship. The platinum level werewolf Chick is very strong. The attack was so powerful that just waving his claws could make Subei's body tremble. The unrivaled power passed along the Longian sword. Then it was offset by the indestructible holy body. Chick was confident that his attack could shatter the mountains. But he scratched here for a long time. But he didn't let Subei break his skin. This took a toll on his self-esteem. As a platinum-level powerhouse, when has he experienced this kind of chi? And on the battleship in the distance, the werewolf adjutant wiped his eyes, doubting life. He was right. A silver-level human island owner fighting back and forth with platinum-level Lord Chick? What a messed-up reality. The adjutant thought for a moment and issued an order. All guns aimed, ready to shoot. The werewolf next to him looked at each other in dismay. Is the adjutant trying to kill Lord Chick to usurp the throne? The werewolf adjutant watched his subordinates still, and scolded, "At the speed of Lord Chick, it is completely possible to leave the bombing area ahead of time." Subordinates are stunned. Indeed, Lord Chick is invincible in the world and will not be bombed to death by naval artillery. The battleship began to turn, and several rows of black holes were exposed on the side armor. Subsequently, a large number of energy cannons began to lock on the target. Emission. Boom. In the dull sound, dozens of energy projectiles blazed out, passing thousands of meters in an instant, landing near Subei and Chick. The sea immediately boiled. The turbulent energy surged back and forth, setting off a stormy wave. As the vehicle of a platinum-class powerhouse, this single battleship has a firepower comparable to that of a fleet. Dozens of energy cannons fired salvos, making Subei salivate. Well, this battleship is his now. Even if the battleship can't bring it back, the energy cannon must resist. Before the only energy cannon in the camp was cut off by him, it was a pity at the time. As a result, the werewolf Chick is here to send benefits. Under the raging energy fluctuations, Subei's body did not move like a mountain. He stepped on the sea steadily, and continued to fight with Chick. Chick wanted to retreat. Because werewolves are not the Dark Clan who are good at defense. Their advantage is speed. But now, Chick's proud speed can't escape Subei's pursuit, so he can only bite the bullet. Fortunately, it was only a small energy cannon that fired this time, and even if it hit the front, it wouldn't have much impact. On the battleship in the distance, The adjutant hurriedly ordered the firing of the main guns to be stopped. What happened to Lord Cheek? Why didn't he leave the bombing zone? Does he want to perish with the humans on the opposite side? This isn't quite right. The adjutant was a little puzzled. Then came a horrified thought. Lord Cheek didn't want to die with the opponent, but he couldn't get out of the opponent's attack range, so he couldn't leave the bombing zone. That human being is so powerful. It is unimaginable. The adjutant ordered the gunner to stand by, and then summoned the gold-level powerhouse on board. Lord Cheek is fighting. We can't wait here. Now is our time to be loyal. The adjutant's fighting spirit was burning, and he roared, "Tribal warrior, kill with me." Roar. On the battleship, more than a dozen gold-ranked werewolves roared and stimulated their magic power, and ran fast on the sea with the adjutant. These werewolves used both hands and feet to approach the battlefield in a very short time. "Lord Cheek, let's help you." The adjutant bared his teeth and yelled. His body shook, and the evil phantom cast spread out, covering him from the flank. Cheek was startled and snorted, "Retreat, you are not opponents." It's a pity that this sentence was shouted a little late. The Longian saber in Su Bei's hand burst into a deadly brilliance, and the heavenly martial demon slayer was already out of his hand. The knife light swept across the sea, instantly killing 4 gold-level werewolves. The battle-absorbing ability of the killing god entry takes effect, replenishing Su Bei's physical strength, and taking his temporary combat power to a higher level. These gold-level werewolves not only didn't cause trouble to Su Bei, but seemed to be here to bring welfare. Chick's eyes were splitting. On the one hand, there is heartache for the casualties. These werewolves were the basis for his speech in the dark race, and as a result, 4 were directly hacked to death, and the losses were heavy. On the other hand, Chick was also very angry. It would have been a good thing for a werewolf to come to support. However, Su Bei's battle to learn directly made Cheek lose his temper. It was hard to tell whether these werewolves were here to support him or to kill him. The other gold-level werewolves were horrified. Cheek roared, "You withdraw the battleship, leave at full speed, and I will arrive later." Su Bei sneered twice, "Want to go? Did I agree?" Then the sword light flickered, and the stigmata slashed out, blasting the other werewolf into pieces. The new power gathered in Su Bei's body, making his aura continue to rise. Immediately, he launched a more violent attack on Chick. Cheek took several knives and roared in rage. The rest of the gold-rank werewolves were ashamed and rushed towards the battleship. But how could Su Bei let these blood packs leave, rush up and slash and end the battle in an instant? More than a dozen gold-ranked werewolves, without making any waves, all fell into the waves and lost their breath. On the battleship in the distance, the low-level werewolves were stunned. Yes, the first mate, second mate, and third mates were all dead, and they didn't know what to do. On the sea, Su Bei exhaled turbid breath, looked at Chuck and said, "How does it feel to be trapped by your subordinates?" Cheek roared, "Those are the bravest warriors of my clan." Su Bei nodded in agreement. "He is indeed very brave. In the face of my obviously unreasonable combat power, he dares to rush forward. Generally, the dark race does not have such courage." Chick was speechless. To say brave, really brave, but also really stupid. Even he can't solve the battle. How can they be able to participate in the gold level? Now it's better, not to mention all dead, but also make the opposite human become stronger. Chick's eyes flickered. Su Bei immediately said, "You want to run away, then you run. I won't chase." As soon as these words came out, Cheek immediately cut off the idea and turned to attack. Proud clan of evil shadow werewolves, no cowards to run away. The battle resumes, but the balance of victory keeps tilting towards Su Bei. Dan Wu, exterminate demon slash. A roar, accompanied by splashes of blood. Cheek's right arm was directly cut off. If it wasn't for his agility, it would be his neck that was cut off. Su Bei continued his onslaught. The increase in combat power brought by beheading the gold-rank werewolf just now has subsided, but Cheek broke an arm, and the combat power dropped even more. After a few minutes of fighting, Su Bei, Wang Qianhao, used Dan Wu to destroy the demon again. This time, Cheek's left forearm was cut off. There is a saying that it is a trick to eat all over the sky. Subei doesn't need to acquire too much inheritance from the demon's lair, as long as he has the skill of Danwu Demon Slayer, combined with his tyrannical basic attributes. It will still be beneficial. Cheek is the first platinum level powerhouse who will fall under the dragon's blade. When the battle subsided, Subei stood on the deck, smiling completely uncontrollably. Hanging Cheek's head on his belt, Subei charged straight towards the distant battleship. Subei threw out the third Danwu Demon Slayer slash, beheading Cheek's head. However, these werewolves are obviously not as fast as Subei. He never imagined that the first time he explored the silver-level enchanted island, he would even be able to capture a battleship. The werewolf sailors on the deck hurriedly confronted them, and they went down to the cabin to prepare to detonate the ammunition depot to sink the warship. This platinum-inferior werewolf fell to this unknown forward base. Damn, Island World will. Chick let out an unwilling roar. Advertisement Chapter 199 You can't go. Although there are a lot of werewolf corpses lying on the deck, it is very unsightly. But Subei's mood was not affected at all. This is a battleship. Not a merchant ship, nor a small raft, but a serious dark race battleship. And it's also a platinum-class werewolf's car. The luxurious configuration is beyond imagination. When cleaning up the werewolves in the cabin just now, Subei had a general observation of the battleship's layout. Other than that, at least this firepower configuration is quite exaggerated. On the 3 decks, there are a total of 80 small energy cannons. It's not over yet. What excites Subei the most is the 2 medium-sized energy cannons on the bow and stern. Although he has not seen a real medium-sized energy cannon, he can determine the level of these 2 energy cannons just by looking at the specifications of the barrels. Definitely medium. Subei contacted the spirit of the island and asked her to pass on her voice to all members of the island. The battle is over. Come and collect the spoils. This sentence floats on the island. The expressions of all the members were a little dull. What? The island owner has ended the battle? But isn't the opponent a platinum-level powerhouse? Looking at the time, the battle has only taken half an hour from the beginning to the present. Well, fight time is not the point. The point is, the island owner killed a platinum-level werewolf with silver-level strength? After a short silence, cheers erupted from the island. Afterwards, everyone rushed into the teleportation channel, feeling the remaining traces of the battle, secretly frightened. The battle before 683, how fierce was it? And the energy shock has not subsided until now. But then again, what about the island owner? Everyone looked around and didn't see Subei's figure. Fortunately, Helena stood up in time. As an elf, she has an additional advantage in energy perception. She pointed to the sea in the distance and said, "The island owner is there." 39 Everyone rushed to the beach quickly, and then looked up. After a while, a small black spot appeared on the sea in the distance. Then the small black dot gradually enlarged. The people's mouths also opened wide. What did they see? A battleship. Taking a closer look, on the deck, their island owner was waving with a very happy expression. The crowd fell into contemplation. The island owner did another incredible feat, not only won the battle, but even captured a battleship. Outrageous. The battleship quickly approached the island. Helena watched for a moment, and shouted, "Quickly retreat, the island owner will not stop the ship." When everyone heard this, they were even more shocked, and they hurriedly ran back without turning their heads. Boom. In the huge sound, the enchanted island under his feet shook a few times. The front half of the battleship washed directly to the beach. Subei jumped off the deck, coughed twice, and said, "This is the first time I've started a warship, so I'm not very familiar with it." 35 Helena broke Subei's excuse mercilessly, and said angrily, "My lord, you didn't do anything at all just now, and you've been standing on the deck." Subei pretended not to hear this, and instead asked, "Which one of you can drive a warship? It is easy to transport this thing back, just let the earth spirit move slowly, and it is too late. The key is that such a large warship must not be left to look at, it must be used. If it is a Blue Star battleship, Then Sube can also go to the special affairs team to shake people and find some professional talents. But this is a dark race warship, and the construction method is completely different from that of Blue Star. Sube had never learned how to control a dark race battleship before, so he could only put his hope on the strong men like Helena. The expressions of the 5 gold level powerhouses were slightly embarrassed. Neither will they. This can't blame them. Even among the various races, there are very few who can drive warships. Moreover, the Alpine elves and the dwarves, one lives on the mountain and the other lives underground, and they are completely irrelevant to the battleship. Sube and Helena stared at each other. Fortunately, Eve stood up and said, "Islander, the core control area of the dark race battleship is related to magic pattern. Give me a little time, and I will definitely be able to study it thoroughly." Sube nodded. "Okay, I'll leave this to you." Afterwards, Sube called the earth spirits over and asked them to move the soil under the battleship and slowly transport it to the teleportation channel. Taking advantage of the time to transport the battleship, Helena asked about the previous battle. Gideon was also very curious. Killing the platinum level with the strength of the silver level is too shocking. Sube is very calm. He has 2 mythical entries. No, strictly speaking it should be 3. After all, the inheritance of the Demon Slayer warrior was also revealed by his mythical entry. With such a strong force coming together, if they still can't kill a platinum inferior werewolf, then it's nothing. Bhcf. Sube didn't explain too much, and Helena and the others listened in confusion and didn't ask much. Regardless of the process, the results are good anyway. This is enough. Helena asked, "Islander, is the body of that platinum level werewolf still there?" Sube pointed to the battleship. "Everything that can be recovered is piled up on the deck." Helena immediately left Sube behind and jumped onto the deck of the battleship in 2 steps, with unusually agile skills. But after all, she is a high-level gold, and her basic attributes are there. Eve said, "Island owner, another silver-level coordinate jade ultimatum. I think it's better not to open it for the time being." Garton nodded again and again. "Yes. If there is another accident, we can't stand it." 99 The calm Sol also persuaded, "Island owner, you carry everyone's expectations, but you can no longer risk yourself." Gabriel scratched his beard and said, "Do you have a grudge against the goddess of luck, Island Lord? Why do you encounter some unexpected situations every time you open the coordinate jade?" Sube thought about it for a while and replied, "Probably not. I have obtained the Book of Luck before, so there is no reason to have a grudge against the goddess of luck." Eve pondered for a moment, and said somewhat uncertainly, "Is there a possibility the island owner's luck is actually very good? Although he encountered many emergencies, they are all within the manageable range, and there will be twists and turns. But in the end it will make the island owner stronger." 99 The 3 Garten brothers thought about it, and it seemed to be the truth. Platinum level werewolves are here. And then it's not that it's still cold and stiff, and even the exclusive battleship has been captured. On the other hand, their island owner was not injured at all. If this is not called good luck, who dares to claim good luck? In fact, Sube had considered this guess before. Combined with many past cases, it is very likely. But luck is something that no one can say. Several people chatted here for a long time, but did not discuss the reason. During this period, the battleship was also transported back, and the duration of the transmission channel was about to end. Sube led the crowd back to the island. After the exploration is over, the next step is to digest and absorb the spoils. The bodies of many werewolf powerhouses had to be disposed of, and the materials that had been brought back before also needed to be sorted. The most important thing is that this warship should be analyzed and cleaned up as soon as possible and put back into the battle. A lot of things are waiting to be dealt with. After a few simple explanations, everyone dispersed. However, some remained. Eve chuckled twice and said, "Islander, here comes your trouble." After that, I boarded the battleship and began to study the power system. And Sube knew where his troubles came from. Duling, Juan Menayu, the Lin family sisters, as well as Yvette and Eleanor, All looked at themselves with resentful eyes. Tsubei knew that they were angry that they went to fight the platinum level werewolf and worried about him. But in this situation, I was still a little guilty, and I laughed dryly. Everyone is busy, I'll go first. Clang. With the trident pinned to the ground, Yvette stepped forward, stood in front of Tsubei, and said, "You can't walk." Advertisement. Chapter 200. The Mermaid Messenger. Tsubei was dragged to the lake by Yvette and others, and after careful inspection, he was able to escape after confirming that there was no scar on his body. Tsubei was also very emotional. It has always been said that the tears of a mermaid will turn into pearls, but this is not the case. Thinking of Yvette's crying pear blossoms and rain, Tsubei felt that the opening of the second silver level coordinate jade was really slow. He doesn't feel anything. It's nothing more than fighting. But for others, it was a little too thrilling. And luck is really unreliable. This time, he only encountered a platinum level werewolf, and he was still a platinum level inferior. What if you meet two next time? He can ensure his own safety, but if the enemy moves separately and crosses him to attack the island, it will be troublesome. Adding up Helena and others, they are not necessarily the opponents of platinum level powerhouses. If there are casualties, it will be too late. Platinum grade, where can I find it? Tsubei muttered. Immediately, he couldn't help but think of Clazen. The cunning goblin didn't know where to go either. Next time you come, you'd better come with a little surprise, or throw him into the sea to feed the fish. It would be great if there were platinum level captives. It's just that a powerhouse of that level would rather die in battle than be captured. Tsubei found a stone and sat down, his mind racing. The exploration of the silver level island this time made him realize that there is still a lot of room for improvement in the island's combat power. Especially the cutting edge combat power. The gap is very serious. It could even be said that there is no such thing at all. In fact, this is also the reason why Tsubei is developing too fast. You must know that the apprentice island owners who came to the island world at the same time as him will be battered on the black iron level magic island. Not even the bronze level ones dared to explore, let alone the silver level ones. But Tsubei is not. He was rushing forward all the way by himself, and the level rose very fast. The combat troops under his command were not even ready, and they began to explore the silver level magic island. In this case, it is strange that the top combat power is matched. To be honest, if it wasn't for the addition of Helena and others, the strongest under Tsubei would still be Yvette, a senior in silver. The fight with Cheek made Tsubei feel the need to keep shaking people. Tsubei thought for a moment and thought of a candidate. Xiaozuanhao. The island owner who made a lot of money must have senior fighters under his command. Maybe you can borrow two from him. Think about this matter carefully, there is room for manipulation. Tsubei secretly said. Then put this matter down first, continue to patrol the island, and start refreshing entries. Today's daily work has not been done. Refreshing all the way, disgusting all the way, Tsubei came to the bottom of the misty tree. The mist banshees appeared one after another to greet them. At this time, the total number of misty banshees reached 10. The first two to be formed, the grades are already bronze intermediate, and the progress is gratifying. The first entry of the mist tree is epic, and the second entry was brushed for a few days, but the results were not satisfactory. But today is different. Another purple entry light ball, Xuangshu, epic level. Each time the fog banshee is condensed, an additional one will be born, and the item level will be upgraded to the top diamond without the slightest hesitation. Tsubei fixed directly. The mist tree with two epic level entries has risen from the initial gold level to the current diamond level, which can be said to have completed a jump in the level of life. And thanks to the upgrade of the mist tree, the mist banshees have also been strengthened. Their level will rise faster. Tsubei nodded secretly. The power of the entry will continue to be superimposed. His previous strategy was fine. The first entry is due to the situation, so you can make do with it first. But the second entry is not in a hurry at all, just refresh it slowly. As more high-grade entries are fixed, his island development speed will increase infinitely. Then, Tsubei looked at the magic field on the ground. After fixing the grain abundance entry before, the potential of the second batch of magic field seemed to be exhausted,
And after brushing for a few days, they were all mixed with white and green. It doesn't match the bright orange entry at all. Sube naturally would not fix such a low-level entry. At this time, it refreshed again, and the purple light filled the field of vision again. Vast, epic, doubles the coverage area of the magic field, fixed. Ding. The entry has been fixed. 35 The magic field bloomed and began to extend and cover the surrounding ordinary land. In the blink of an eye, the 400-acre magic field had already been obtained for nothing. What followed was that the concentration of spiritual energy on the island increased again. Everyone on the island couldn't help but stop, and then continued to work. Needless to say, it must be their beloved island master again, seeking flowers. If he doesn't come up with some new tricks one day, he won't be the island owner in their impression. Afterwards, Sube went under the blood spirit fruit tree with great anticipation and chose to refresh. Then he walked away without looking back. Also, the highest level is only rare, and has no fixed value at all. From the situation of the mist tree, if there is no epic entry, it is impossible to raise the level of the blood spirit fruit tree to the diamond level. And there is no essential difference between platinum premium and platinum inferior. The second entry of the blood spirit fruit tree can only continue to wait. After wandering the entire island, even the members and plants were refreshed, and there were no more epic entries. Sube had no choice but to return to Blue Star to bring back a few gunners. After the subsequent werewolf battleships were analyzed, there were a lot of gunner gaps. After all, there were 80 small energy cannons on that ship. No matter what, you have to prepare 40 gunners, otherwise it will not be able to exert its due combat effectiveness. Sube's head got bigger when he figured it out. This day to and from the Blue Star and the island, when is the head. But soon, a piece of news came, making Sube put it down temporarily. The spirit of the island reported that 3 mermaids asked for an interview. Sube was stunned on the spot. Could it be that in the past 2 days, the mermaid family was destroyed by the dark-tide Murlocs? But after seeing the 3 mermaids, Sube was a little relieved. This is a complete patrol team, and the state is not bad. Although the seahorse chariot was covered with scars, the 3 mermaids were fine. In terms of rank, the leader is Silver Intermediate, and the other 2 are Silver Lower. Presumably, Your Excellency is the island owner of Sube. Captain Mermaid saluted and introduced himself. My name is Carolyn, and these 2 are Carrie and Dinah. Sube returned the salute, and then asked, I don't know how many people are visiting. What is the matter? If you are visiting Yvette and the others, wait a moment, they are coming. Carolyn's expression was a little tangled, and after a while, she said, Your Excellency Sube, we are here to find you. Really? Sube smiled and said, Is it necessary for me to attack the dark-tide Murlocs to relieve your pressure? The mermaid Carrie behind Caroline said subconsciously, How do you know? Sube was a little helpless. He really got caught up in what he said. Advertisement end of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.